am I? Aloha, what's up everybody? Hey, I'm JayDreamerZ, and welcome to Truth in Movies, where finally, we're going to be breaking down and decoding Independence Day. Independence Day, one of my favorite movies pretty much ever. I don't know why I'm looking off in the other direction here. All right, sweet. So, Will Smith, this is the classic Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum movie. Like I said last live stream, this is one of my favorites. I've seen it a million different times. And although I have a lot of like really famous, iconic lines that are said in the movie and stuff, I'm going to try to be more serious during the breakdown because I have a lot to cover. And we're going to jump right into things. Independence Day. There's the alien right there. Spoiler alert, there's an alien. All right, cool. Independence Day. Now, the movie is all about the apocalypse. It's all about alien invasions. It's all about the sky blowing up. We're going to talk about Project A119, aliens, alien invasions, phantazoids, electromagnetics, the dome, the apex dome, all kinds of stuff. So, without any further ado, we start off with where we should start off. The moon. We start off with the moon. As my buddy London would say, it all goes back to the moon. So they show us the iconic picture of the moon. It's got the flag there on the alleged rocky surface of the moon. But as I teach here on my channel, the moon is actually a portion of the firmament. That image of that portion is projected into our sky. So the moon we see is the luminary, the moon. The source is the apex dome moon, or the portion of the apex dome that is the actual real substance of the moon. So here we have the flag on the moon. They zoom all the way out. You can see all the footprints and stuff from the Apollo missions. And then they show you this plaque. And they've got somebody reading this plaque. And it says, it's kind of hard to read. Let me zoom in on it. It says, here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon July 1969 AD, coming in peace for all mankind. So this is interesting to me. I wondered if there was a plaque on the moon. As you can see here, it's just sort of like lodged into, you know, the earth, and it's like, you know, wrapped in this nice frame, some kind of frame, and, you know, it's got bolts in there and stuff. So I looked it up to see if they actually have a plaque on the moon. This is the plaque. This is the real plaque, the alleged real plaque, at least. The movie one looks better, I think. Like, it's lodged into the moon, sitting there, you know. This is the actual plaque, though. So let's check this one out. You have it sort of, you know, it looks like they took some tin foil and kind of like attached it to the ladder of the landing module, the alleged landing module there. Now, I'm going to talk about this landing module too here in a minute, and why it looks like it's made out of Jiffy Pop. Okay? I'm going to explain to you a possible reason for that, aside from it just being, you know, like a prop or something, you know. So I'm gonna give you some alternatives to think about here in just a bit coming up. So this is the actual plaque. Now we go over to SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and they're playing this song at the bottom. You can see it's REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It. I always tune into those songs. I always put on the subtitles so I can see what song they're picking. REM, just like many other bands, are sharing truths with you, secrets of the world that are in riddles, which are your songs. They're riddle forms. All these songs are real complicated, real hard to figure out. Oftentimes people have just given up trying to figure out what the song's actually about, and they just dance to it. They like the beat, they like the melody, they like the rhythm, but they're sharing with you riddles, like the riddle of the Sphinx. They're offering to you clues so that you can figure out the world story, as my buddy C-3PO's golden calf would say. And REM is no exception. REM, rapid eye movement, so it's a reference to the eye, which is a reference to the apex dome, which is a reference to the moon. And then a dreamlike state, being in a dreamlike state, rapid eye movement. That's the portion of your sleep whenever you're basically having your most intense dreams. But REM, they wrote this song, It's the End of the World as We Know It, and they're talking about the world coming to an end. Literally, like, why else? You know what I mean? Why else would they write about that? And many of these songs are about the apocalypse. Now, they have another song Losing My Religion, where he says, what if all these fantasies come flailing around? Oh no, I've said too much. So he's talking about the things that we consider to be fantasy, fantastic, sci-fi, etc. happening, actually happening, and how people would flip out because of that. Now, REM also has this song called Man in the Moon. It says, if you believe they put a man on the moon, a man on the moon. If you believe there's nothing up his sleeve, then nothing is cool. So what they're saying in this song is if you think that they actually put a man on the moon, you've been tricked by the magician. Like nothing's cool. And that actually is the theme song for this movie called Man on the Moon, and it's about a comedian. I don't know if that's what you would call him, Andy Kaufman. But Andy Kaufman, he took his acts off stage. This comedian, he put on these personalities. He acted like different things wherever he went, and he was always trying to really throw a wrench into the system. He was really the first professional troll of the modern age, if I could say so. But REM sings the soundtrack, Man on the Moon. If you believe they put on Man on the Moon, then nothing is cool. There's nothing up his sleeve. If you think there's nothing up their sleeve when they say they're putting a man on the moon. And it's played by Jim Carrey. The character, Andy Kaufman, a real-life person, was played by Jim Carrey, who is the man on the moon. Now, there's a lot of moon references when it comes to Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey seems to be connected to something in Hollywood because all these actors, they play the same types of roles over and over again in similar types of movies over and over again. They're handpicked. For example, you can see Jim Carrey playing a man on the moon in The Truman Show. Whenever he's pretending to be an astronaut, it's got a little Truman flag or whatever, right? He's pretending to be on the moon. He's giving you the moon symbol, which is the one eye, which is the winking of the one eye, right? There's only one eye up there. That's the apex dome that hangs down. It looks like an eye in the sky when people can see it, which they can every once in a while. Every once in a while, conditions in this world change to allow us to see the firmament, which, by the way, is reflective. So when we look up, we see a reflection of what's down below. But people can see this hump hanging down in the sky, this portion of the firmament that droops down. And that is, like I said, the moon portion. Now, he's also in Dumb and Dumber when he walks past a newspaper article that says, man walks on the moon. And it's supposed to be this funny moment when he says, no way, we landed on the moon, right? That iconic moment, another moon reference with Jim Carrey. There's also, in The Truman Show, they have him sitting underneath the moon with these waves or whatever. It's kind of hard to see. He's right there. And of course, God lives in the moon. Jim Carrey's God lives in the moon. And then we have Bruce Almighty. This scene whenever Jim Carrey, acting as God, pulls the moon in closer, and the moon gets closer and closer as he has these godlike powers. Now, this actually does happen. The moon gets closer and it goes further away every other cycle. This cycle, it's getting closer, but it's getting smaller. So people actually will start seeing the moon getting smaller and smaller, and they're going to tell you it's getting further and further away because that's the only thing that makes logical sense within their model of their cosmological view. That's a rock out there, right? So if it gets smaller, it has to be getting further away. If it's a light in the sky and it's focusing and getting brighter and brighter, it will get smaller and smaller. As that focus gets closer and closer together, that point of focus will get lower and lower to the ground, as will the sun, as will the stars. Now, he's also in a really older movie. If you're an older person like me, you might remember this movie, Once Bitten, where it shows him in front of the full moon all over the place throughout this movie. Vampire symbolism and whatnot. He's actually pointing right up to it. That symbol of this hand gesture, pointing straight up like that, is all throughout antiquity. People have done that from famous painting to famous painting, especially throughout the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, the Enlightenment, stuff like that. They would have people pose like this, putting one finger up in the air, like looking up sometimes, like, hey, there's something up there. And here he is again, pointing up towards the moon. You might think he's pointing towards some vampire chick or whatever, but that's superimposed. It's him looking up at the moon. And then, of course, recently he played Dr. Robotnik, aka or Mr. Robotnik, aka Dr. Eggman, in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, where he has this egg-shaped head. He's bald-headed or whatever. And in the movie, he literally slices open the moon. He blows up the moon in the movie. So we have another moon reference, but not just a moon reference, a destruction of the moon reference. Now, this is where we're going to get into Independence Day, and we're going to tie this in, because what you're looking at here is basically the mothership, the physical portion of the firmament that I'm calling the apex dome, that hangs down and droops downwards. That is going to be seen when it is seen again as a mothership, as an alien mothership, as some people will see it as a planet or Nibiru or some circular object way too close to our planet or whatever it may be. Some people say it's aliens. Some people will say that that is a mothership, and it is the moon. Okay, it is the physical substance of what is being projected into our sky. And it's going to break open. Now, speaking of Jim Carrey, he's come up recently in the news. This is how I'm used to seeing Jim Carrey. What he looks like, his face, his mannerisms, his energy, right? I've known him, as I've watched him mature, right, as we all have. And he's over time, he stepped away from Hollywood. He's really kind of rejected, like he's come out many times, sort of making fun of the Illuminati, and he did the all mocking tongue thing, like that on Jimmy Kimmel. He has asked, like, who is Jim Carrey? Like, I'm nobody. All of this is meaningless. Nothing here makes any sense. All this pomp and show that everyone's doing is just ridiculous. And he's really stepped away from that part of Hollywood over the years. And here he is, as he's matured, growing out his facial hair. And we kind of saw another side of Jim Carrey for about 10 or 15 years. And then there's this Jim Carrey. And I'm going to be talking about this way more during my Omen segment. My next Omen segment. But then at the local red carpet for, I don't know what it was, Golden Globes or something, some award ceremony, this was allegedly Jim Carrey. Okay? And this is going on, this is hot on the internet right now, because everybody knows this is not Jim Carrey. Anybody knows that this is not Jim Carrey. As a matter of fact, let me share with you this recent interview. I want you to hear his voice. I want you to hear it, and I want you to see the actual Jim Carrey as he was on the red carpet or whatnot. If I can get it pulled up here. Let me see if I can. There we go. Now, check this out. Let's watch this. Listen.
Oh, it's a wonderful feeling. I really took on a pretty big challenge trying to do my speech in French. So, I wrote it and I researched it and I practiced it like crazy. But, it's, then I watched everybody like talking 1,000 miles an hour up there receiving their awards. And I was like, I'm dead. I made mistakes and I was like a novice, but I felt a lot of love. And I felt a lot of appreciation that I tried, and what I said was true, and I really wanted to.
I was like a novice? This is not the Jim Carrey that I've heard at award ceremonies in the past, where he's talking about like being second-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey, and he's just kind of makes fun like he's the best, and he kind of makes light of that. He's never spoken like this. He's soft-spoken. Sounds weird. You know what I mean? This is like his mannerisms.
Recognize my family. I wanted to recognize my dad. I mean, my dad was the type of person that if you met him for 5 minutes, you felt like you knew him for 50 years. I can't talk about him without getting emotional. Oh, loved it. It's so beautiful. And having Michelle, Camille Coton was also amazing, and it was just a brilliant evening, really brilliant evening. Oh my gosh, Benjamin Laverne was off the hook. I mean, I can't believe he committed to doing all that. I was really, is this about someone else? My favorite funny face is the one I'm wearing right now.
He said something like, is this someone else? Anyways, I don't want to play all of it right now. I want to get on with the movie. But I did want to point that out. These connections that certain actors have, how they seem to disappear at certain ages or after they reveal certain information or whatever. Something's going on. Now, I want to squash a rumor. Okay, I'm going to squash this rumor right now. Lots of people, there's some guy out there that makes masks of celebrities and he walks around pretending to be the celebrity. Sometimes he's even paid to show up and make an appearance as Jack Nicholson or as different people or whatever, right? He has claimed that this is him. I don't believe that this is a mask. I don't believe that this is him. I think that he's taking credit for something in order to promote his little business. And a lot of people have already told me that everyone's looking for the answers. So the first time someone gives like a feasible answer, everybody jumps on and they go, oh, it's been debunked. Oh, it's so-and-so. It's this guy that makes masks or whatever. I'm sorry, but I just showed you the video. I'm not trying to tell you how to feel about it, but to me personally, I'm not tricked. Okay, that's not a mask. That's a human. That's a person. They might have all kinds of work done on their actual skin and face and muscles and stuff. Masks don't move like that. I've watched that other guy's channel. I've seen his lame masks. You could tell it's a mask. Okay, it's a very convincing and real looking mask. But like his Jack Nicholson one and stuff, like the wrinkles are all messed up. It looks terrible. He's not that good. Okay. So please don't leave me any comments about that guy and his mask. I'm sure people will anyways. But anyways, let's move on. All right. Search for extraterrestrial intelligence in New Mexico. By the way, this was a government-funded project. So if aliens don't exist, why did they have a search for extraterrestrial intelligence with all the equipment and funding and stuff for 3 straight years at the very least from the United States government? You know what I mean? They're looking for aliens, spending a lot of time and money and stuff. This guy picks up on a signal. It's pulsing or whatever. And I hear that sort of pulsing, clicking kind of a sound a lot when it comes to quote unquote aliens. I believe it's electromagnetics and static interference and fluctuations in the electromagnetic field on Earth. And it comes out in the form of clicking and sounds like that. But also bugs tend to make that sort of clicking sound as well. And when you have gigantism reintroduced into this world, you have gigantic bugs that will make this alien kind of buzzing, clicking sound too. Keep that in mind. We're going to come back to the concept of bugs and who the bugs really are. Now, they trace the source of this buzzing and this clicking and this chirping and stuff, and it's coming from, of course, the moon. As you can see here, the signal source is coming from the moon. It's coming from within the house, as they would say in scary movies, that because the moon is within our house. It's underneath the dome. It's part of the dome. And then they show you this image. This image real quick. Let me jump out of the way because I want to show you what else is in this image. Look behind me here. You can see that they have put the Washington Monument right here and the Capitol building. This is known as the National Mall. Now, I have something planned where I will be sharing with you great details about this particular area in the United States. But let's take a closer look at it. Why do they keep showing this? They show this all throughout the movie. It's because this is Antiquitech. Okay? Let me back up for people who are new. Antiquitech means antique technology or antiquated technology, ancient technology. And I will tell you exactly what it is for. Okay, whenever you see these rods sticking out of the ground and you have these domes, you know, as buildings and structures that have conductive materials on their tops, it is designed. It is very evident to anyone that works with electronics. I don't even work with electronics, but in studying electromagnetism and electricity and stuff, I've come across all of these things. This is called a capacitor. Okay. It is designed to attract energy towards one side and keep it from the other side to create a differential between the two and then store that energy for a quick release. For example, the flux capacitor. Probably everyone is, that's sort of like the battery for the DeLorean in Back to the Future, which, by the way, I've decoded all 3 Back to the Future movies. Pretty interesting. You should check those out. Now, here's one side. So this is called a Leyden jar, where you can sort of trap electricity in a jar, or lightning in a jar, you could say. At the top, in order to invite the electricity in, they will put a metallic sphere or a dome, because rounded conductive materials attract negative charge. They don't repel it or anything, they attract it. So anytime you see a dome in the old world and it's made of conductive material, it is designed to attract electricity to it from the atmosphere itself. Now, I want to also point something out for you. In the world that we live in today, it is much different. The atmosphere is much different than it used to be even 100 years ago. Going further and further back in time, all the way back to the Dark Ages, the atmosphere had more and more and more electricity in it. You could just use the electricity that was ambient in the atmosphere, and the Earth also itself had way more electric charge in it. All of that electricity has been dwindling over time as the core of the Earth's, or the inner portion, the hollow Earth, siphons the energy and sucks it back down, leaving us with a lack of energy up here on the surface, which is what we call, or modern academics calls, entropy, right? Anyways, my point is, domes attract a negative charge. Spires and steeples and rods and what do you call it, like lightning rods and obelisks and stuff like that. This is a lightning rod. They shoot out positive ions, and that's how they work. They're not designed to attract negative energy in order to have it hit a particular place on purpose. That's ridiculous. It has a grounding rod attached to it just in case it does get hit, because it can happen and you want it to follow the path of least resistance. But the way that a lightning rod actually works is it releases positive ions to flood and disrupt and dissipate a strong negative charge that's built up above. In simple terms, it prevents a lightning strike from actually happening. So we've been told the opposite, and if you look it up, sometimes you will find the opposite. People actually teach lightning rods are designed to attract electricity, and they are absolutely not. They are designed to dissipate electrical charge, or a negative electrical charge. All right, so that's what that was all about. Okay, so the point was with these 2 buildings right here, which they're going to show you again. That is ancient technology that, in my opinion, was probably already here from the Tartarian Empire that already settled in the North American continent. And if you don't believe that, go look it up on ancient maps. You will find evidence that the Tartarian lineage, we'll call them, or nation, or tribes, and there's different tribes, that they were here, that they were all around the Northern Hemisphere. And there's good reason for that, and I share that all the time here on my channel and in my books. Now, they say we estimate that this object has a diameter of over 550 kilometers. So, in my opinion, they're kind of sharing with you the apex dome and how, maybe how wide it is. And then they show you space, and here's Earth. Now, this isn't actual outer space, this is just the firmament, okay? They have curved the Earth, they have made the firmament look like it's infinite or whatever, but it's not. There would be a dome on top of all of this, okay? So no matter how they try to show it to us, you're just looking up at the dome itself. All these stars, that's the dome, okay? Actually, the dome is just a little further than those stars, but those stars are created by the apex dome as light plasma from the other side, or the plasma sphere, spirals inward, and it goes through the dome itself, which has little mini domes, which we see as craters all over it, and it creates little points of focus, little stars, little suns. And those are way up high in the sky. And they all move in the same direction because the plasma on the other side of our dome is swirling around in the same direction, following the right-hand rule of thumb in plasma physics and electronics. All right, so then we see a satellite. Now, satellites come into play a lot here too, and they come into play in our real world. Satellites, bombs, destruction, blowing things up in space, blowing up the moon, this is all coming into play now. It's been in play actually since the 50s. or before that. So the satellite starts taking off. It's interesting that the design of this particular satellite, if you look at the top, you can see it's a Russian satellite. Up here, it looks a lot like the Death Star on the top. This portion right there, doesn't that kind of look like the Death Star? I'll show you a picture later of the Death Star. But the moon and the Death Star are the same. In the Colburn Bible, it was known as the Doom shape. This is the Doom shape. Okay, keep this in mind. You're going to see this one day. All right, so the satellite takes off. It's flying towards this mothership, and of course, it's going to crash into it. Fa-pow! Now, they show you the Statue of Liberty. Let's see. What did I want to say about the Statue of Liberty? Well, I'll just touch on the Statue of Liberty real quick because I forgot why I took a picture of that. But people will try to convince you this is Mother Liberty. This is, represents something good, justice, and all this stuff. This thing represents pure evil. To me personally, I'm just going to share this with you. It looks pure evil. The face and everything looks expressionless, looks like soulless. It is. Many people believe this is a Luciferian, an homage to Lucifer, or an homage to Satan, I should say specifically. Not really Lucifer, because they're kind of different entities. But this is, I'm going to tell you what this is, okay? This is the sun. You see all these little rays coming out of it? That's the sun turning blue. And one of these days, it will shoot a beam of energy as it gets more and more focused. Remember how I said the lights are getting more focused and they're getting closer and closer to the earth, but they're getting smaller and smaller. And therefore, the light that comes off of them will get hotter and hotter, especially the sunlight. And if it does, in the light spectrum, a light that gets more and more focused, hotter and hotter, will go from red to orange to yellow to white to light blue to dark blue as it gets its hottest. This is the blue star Kachina, and it represents death and destruction and the season of Satan that we currently live in, as they're all getting ready right now for the sun to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and they're actively trying to block it out. They're trying to block out the sunlight. They're trying to, I forgot what's the popular way of phrasing it, but they're spraying the skies. They're talking about blocking the sun and stuff like that. They're painting the roofs blue. Listen, if the sunlight gets really hot and it's blue, a blue roof, or anything blue for that matter, is going to reflect the blue light right back and keep that, whatever it is, cooler, because it's not absorbing all that blue light. Anyways, so we get back to the movie, and we got Jeff Goldblum's character who comes in, and this guy's like, every station's making like it's the 1950s, right? Whenever they had that radio show, everyone thought that the aliens were attacking in like New York or whatever. I forgot what the name of that was, but he says we've got static, we've got snow, all kinds of distortions. That's not because aliens are like purposefully just kind of messing up our television signals and just giving us some static and some snow and messing up our favorite broadcasts or our favorite channels as some evil plan to get back at humans. It is because of electromagnetic interference. And in the movie, you would guess that it's because, like, the technology, you just say technology or whatever. But in reality, the movie is showing you alien ships, alien crafts, but those are symbolic and literal at the same time. On the symbolic end of things, they represent the plasma apocalypse, when there will be lights in the sky, huge gathering amounts of gases that ionize and follow the Earth's natural electrical field, and they will hover over major areas, major populated areas that I call places of power, places that are already like dragon lines and ley lines and stuff like that, where people tend to build cities, and they're the capitals of the world. They're the capitals of the city, and they're capitals because they're built upon openings in the earth that release this electrical charge, that release those gases, and these are centers of power. And so whenever we have this gathering of all of these different ionized gases around the world, and people see lights, big dots, big blobs of light, energy lights or whatever, a lot of people are going to scream aliens. And I'm not even saying aliens don't exist. They do exist. But there's a difference to be made. There's a distinction between a light in the sky that's plasma, as a ball of plasma or ball lightning, and an alien craft that has lights turned on for whatever reason. Why would they do that? Makes no sense to me, because you'd think you'd want to be stealthy Right? I mean, anyways, this will be the night of 1,000 points of light. 1,000 just being a hyperbole for an exaggerated number, like a large number of lights around the world. And they will gather above these certain places, and they will cause distortion in the electromagnetic field as the Earth itself, not aliens, not humans, but Mother Nature, is causing electromagnetic fluctuations in the Earth. This happens from time to time, and it happens often. It's the last one, we named it the Carrington event. It was in 1859. Lasted for about a week. Strong auroras seen everywhere. Pillars and beams of light seen in the sky. Not just like your wavy, typical aurora borealis. All kinds of strange things were seen. People were being attacked by robotic equipment, by machines. Machines were attacking humans. You couldn't unplug them. The machines had a life of their own. I mean, this has already happened. Imagine, that's just telegraphs. Imagine what happens in the world of today when we have your home dishwashing robot humanoids and your robot dogs and your self-driving cars and stuff. Yeah. Now, I actually have a picture that somebody drew of this watercolor version of these auroras in 1870. So 11 years after the Carrington event, this was seen in the sky over a town, and somebody drew it. Now, if you didn't know what this was, you could say all kinds of things. You might think this is some kind of alien spaceship or something up there. And all these weird, maybe it's shooting out some fire or some lights or something, right? This is the apex dome. This is typically what it is drawn as and seen like. This is the eye of God. This is the eye in the sky. This is the eye of many ancient one-eyed gods all throughout antiquity, going all the way back. And this says it's over Guildford, an aurora over Guildford. From a watercolor drawing, October 24th, 1870. And there you have the eye in the sky, the apex dome itself. Now, I have a few videos, quite a few, about the apex dome on one of my playlists, so please go check out my playlists if you want way more information about the apex dome, okay? Now, we get back to this, and they're watching the day the Earth stood still. And the TV's getting all fuzzy and stuff because of the electromagnetic interference or whatever, but here is the movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Remember, this is a prop. The movie they put in here, it's not just like some whimsical thing. It's chosen. It's handpicked out of thousands of possibilities, out of hundreds and hundreds of alternatives or apocalyptic movies or whatever it may be, alien movies. They could have picked anything to put on the television. They picked this one. So let's check this one out. These are the posters, and I love these posters. These types of pulp science fiction movie posters and comic book covers and stuff from yesteryear, from like vintage early 30s, 40s, 50s time frame. I love these. I just love them. I love them so much that I'm recreating some of them actually, and I might share those with you sometime. But anyway, The Day the Earth Stood Still features this giant alien robot and an alien that comes to Earth to warn humanity that they need to get rid of their nukes, or his civilization is just going to destroy them because, they're becoming a threat to others and to themselves. And it's a one-eyed alien in the form of this sort of cyclopean visor. But then they show this hand over the Earth. Like, this is not in the movie from my recollection. There's no huge godlike hand just holding onto the Earth. But there is a godlike hand that comes down out of the apex dome. And you'll see that all throughout antiquity, all the time. There's a hand reaching down out of the sky. It's the hand of God. This is that hand. And what it is it's plasma tentacles that come down and spread out like fingers or like a hand or like tentacles or whatever, and cover the Earth in red plasma. So you'll see this red sort of ionized hydrogen sort of paint the Earth red or whatever. What else? Oh, here's another version of it. There's another version. It says, out of space, a warning and an ultimatum. A warning to humanity. The day the Earth stood still. Now, the reason that they call it the day the Earth stood still is not because the Earth physically stands still, because in their model it's spinning and wobbling and tilting and flying through uncharted space after, following a giant fireball. But it will appear to stand still when the sky stands still, when the luminaries stop rotating. And that day will come. The sun itself will stop in the sky. The sun has stopped in the sky in the book of Joshua and the Old Testament of the Bible. And there's other places in antiquity that have reported a night when the moon seemed to stop on the other side of the world, etc. This will happen. The next apocalyptic cycle is a trial by fire. That fire will come from the heavens. The fire will come from the sun. The sun will heat up this earth as it gets lower, hotter, and more focused. And it will transgress the northern tropics one of these days. It's actually getting closer and closer, further and further north every year. But one of these days, it's just going to break free, and it's going to spiral into the North Pole and stop. And it will hover right over Mount Meru, right over the land at the North Pole, which will reemerge one of these days. The day the Earth stands still. And here's actually, here's a little movie poster of the Keanu Reeves version, and it has this apex dome. I mean, in the movie, this is actually a whole sphere. It's this globe thing that comes down. It's sort of like the UFO or whatever. But that's not how they portray it. Oftentimes, they take these things and they make them look like a big bowl hanging down from the sky. That's the apex dome. But the reason in the actual original is a worldwide blackout. The Earth stands still because all electronics stop working. All of them, all across the world. That can be due to an electromagnetic pulse, a massive one. Not governments, not man-made. Don't raise your hand and try to take credit for that or whatever. Humans, oh, it's humans, it's weapons, it's Russia, it's China, it's this and that. No, it's the Earth. The Earth can create her own electromagnetic pulse and shut down all of your technology and throw you into the Stone Age real quick. So, how long does it last in the story? 30 minutes. See that? Exactly 30 minutes. So there would be silence for about 30 minutes. That reminded me of a biblical passage. In Revelation chapter 8 in the Bible, it says that when the seventh seal was opened, there's these seals and bowls and trumpets, 7 in nature. When the seventh seal was opened, there was silence in heaven for about a half an hour. What are the odds? About a half an hour. A seventh seal, some sort of seal on Earth. In this area, this is our story, right? It's taking place on Earth, in Earth, I should say. Something is sealed off, and when that seal is removed, or if there's pressure inside of whatever it was that's unsealed now, it is now depressurizing. You see what I'm saying? Silence for a half an hour. Interesting. So the TV's getting all fuzzy and it's distorting and stuff, and you can see that there's a clear electromagnetic interference. This is happening right now in our world. That's why all your lights are flickering, your electronics are unreliable, stuff's not working these days. It's all starting to go into fluctuation. And then they show you the National Mall once again. They show you this. They show you the White House here. Here you have the Washington Monument. And the National Mall is this long rectangular strip of like parkland. And I started thinking to myself, how weird. Why do they keep doing that? I've seen this all across the world. Long, oftentimes rectangular strips of parkland just set aside because your governments just love nature so much they want to set aside a huge park for all of you to go play or whatever. I don't believe that. And then they put obelisks in those parks. What's the point of that? Domes in those parks? What's the point of that? I ask myself. Maybe they're not doing this for you. Maybe they're not doing this for nature. Maybe they're doing it for themselves. Maybe there's something powerful here. Maybe there's something important here. Here's another version of it. Tiergarten in Berlin. If you're in Germany, I'm sure that you'll get excited about this part. Tiergarten, right? It's the same thing, same strip. In the middle of this populated city. You see all the skyscrapers and everything everywhere, and then all of a sudden just forest. And a huge pillar right there in the middle, which, by the way, it looks like a little game of Simon. So this totally is also symbolic of the four corners of the earth at the center of the world. But we have this Tiergarten. This is what it looks like. Wow, doesn't that look familiar? Looks very similar to the National Mall if it had a forest instead of a lawn, right? It's got their domes on one side. It's got your little pillars and stuff on the other side. There's like a walkway all the way down, or a driveway, or however you want to see that. And this is what it looks like from another view. Then we have Hyde Park in London, also known as the Royal Parks, I believe. There's many parks in this particular area. It's interesting name, Hyde, as in to conceal, as in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But we have, again, long rectangular park. Long oblong park. Starts over here on this side, goes way down over here until you get to Buckingham Palace, I believe. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. Because I don't live in these places and I'm just researching on the internet. But you have similar building types too. So in these huge rectangular weird parks that are set aside in these capitals, right? These places of power, you have these dome-shaped buildings that have these little columns and stuff that go down all around them. This doesn't look like it's just beautiful and it's just art and people love to live inside of art. No, it's artistic to us now because we don't know the meaning of it. So we're allowed to imagine, what is that? It's mysterious and therefore it's artistic, etc. It is practical. It serves a purpose. The style of these buildings, the architecture of these buildings, those pillars are not there to be pointless. They're not there to be pretty. They're there to be practical. That dome on top is not there to be pointless or pretty. It's there to be practical. All of the parts of this architecture. This one's from the Palace in London. As you can see, same type of a deal. And these are all at the end of these parks, these walkways, these long strips of oddly shaped land and stuff that usually have nature growing in the middle. Lawns or forests or parks or whatever it may be. They're also usually, this is Google Earth, okay? This one right here, which one is this? They're all right next to rivers as well, oftentimes. This is the National Mall. So you're used to seeing, like, here's the Capitol building, the U.S. Capitol building, at the end of the long strip. This also, you know what else? I've seen this in Antiquity too. They have a version of this. I think they have something like this at the Vatican, and I think they have something like this in South America. I can't remember the name of it, but it's where all of the, like, Teotihuacan, I think, the pyramid of the sun and moon, they have this long, looks like a landing strip or something, you know what I mean? And it goes all the way down to the Lincoln Memorial. And here we have the spire in the middle. And here we have the waterway, right? Another waterway. Here it is again. This is Tiergarten. So that first one I showed you in Germany. This right here is where you have that little pillar. And then over here you've got all kinds of different houses all throughout this area that are domed in their shapes. And there's also a river right here called the Spree. Right alongside and right next to a windy river. Just as in Washington, D.C., where I think it's the Potomac, if I remember correctly. And then here we have in the UK, this is Hyde Park. And it starts over here. Let me back off a little bit, get a better view. Here's Hyde Park. As you can see, just surrounded by all the urban areas. And this section that leads all the way up to where the royals live. And a place called London Eye. I just saw that. And right next to a big river, the Thames. Interesting, the same exact setup over and over again. It's almost like we're looking at an electrical circuit or something. This is in New York. This is Manhattan, the island, Manhattan. They have the same thing, Central Park. There's all kinds of rivers around this one, from the East River to the Hudson and all this stuff, right? But look at Central Park, same setup. Just what is the purpose? You think the people that built New York City care about the environment? Stop. Don't even go there. They want to preserve this part. They want to keep this part super, super clean and protected and natural, but the rest of it, they set their trash out, not even in trash cans or anything, rats everywhere. One of the most polluted places I've ever been, and I've been around the whole world. I've been to Kuwait City, and that place is nasty. Manhattan's got it beat. Okay? Look at that. There's something going on. And then all these museums. They got the Met. They got the Frick collection, whatever the hell that is. The Museum of the City of New York. They got all these different museums and stuff on all these parks. Not just here, all around the world. They always have museums. Here's another obelisk in where was this place? Cleopatra's Needle. Oh, this is in Central Park, I think. And there's a few Cleopatra's Needles actually in some of these different parks. This one's off of East 81st Street, and I wish I got to see that. I've been to Central Park, but it's gigantic. I didn't have time to look at all of it, but I missed this one. But there's a huge obelisk. Here's another one. This one is in San Francisco. What's the name of this park? I forgot. Let me see. This one's called Golden State Park in San Francisco. On one side, we actually have the ocean over here. So it goes all the way out to the ocean. But it's this long, rectangular park with like an Academy of Sciences inside of it. Long strip here. There's something going on, man. Your governments don't care about nature that much. I promise you that. Here's another one. These are just some honorable mentions. This one is Retiro Park in Madrid, Spain. They have something very similar here. Large body of water inside of that one. Similar to like the reflecting pool here in Washington, D.C. We have another one. This one is in Dublin. I've actually been to Dublin, and it is this green everywhere. Where I saw, at least. This the greenest place I've ever been to. Beautiful. But this one's called Phoenix Park. Off of Dublin 8. Phoenix Park. And this is what it looks like. You zoom out, first thing you see, big old obelisk right there. Same type of deal. Right next to a river. The Lorry River, is that what that was? I can't remember. What is it? Liffey. The Liffey River. And they got like a freaking pyramid over here. They got an obelisk right here in Ireland. Anyways, back to the movie. Now, you can see, oh, this is interesting too. This is actually a Mandela effect alert. So in the background, we do have a domed building. If you look closely, you can actually probably see it if I really, really zoom in here. It's hard to see because I got the curtains in the way up there. But whatever this building is over here, you see that? You can kind of see the dome. Okay, just trust me, there's a dome there. Anyways, it's a Mandela effect because a lot of people remember the White House having a little dome cap on top of it. Right up here, it should have a little dome cap right there. A lot of people remember that, especially a lot of older people. And a lot of people on the internet talk about this. They say, White House dome Mandela effect, the case of the missing dome. We remember there should be a little dome right on top of that, but there is not in this reality. It has been taken away, and there used to be the flag was on top of that dome, and there's one residual effect. This is seen in the movie Superman Returns. Whenever something happened and he had to go get that dome that had the flag on it, and he flies it back to the White House, and he sticks it on the roof. And then he lands in there and he's talking exactly where we are in the movie now, in the Oval Office. So this guy's talking to the PR rep for the White House and for the president. And he says, the news is running a story that we're covering up some kind of nuclear testing experiment. So now we've got this connection with aliens, a mothership in the sky, the Apex Dome, and nuclear testing in the movie at the very least. And the woman's like, yeah, go ahead. Just tell him about it. Let him talk about it. No one's going to believe him anyway. And I've talked about this, and I will keep talking about this many times because it's extremely important. It's a part of our history. It's a part of our future. The history we have forgotten, so the future is obscured and blurry to many people. So they're not going to believe you when you tell them there was a time in the past when the moon cracked open. There will be a time in the future when the moon cracks open. I've done this. I've covered this project A119. The government project to blow the moon up with nuclear bombs. Whether or not you believe that nuclear bombs are real, their bombs are real, okay? And they have a project to blow up the moon. So if you're interested, go check out that one or some of the other ones like it that I've recently come out with. He says, NASA's been on my butt all morning. They want to know our position. So NASA wants to know the White House's position. Like, what's NASA going to do? Like, what are they going to do with the whole alien thing? So now we have a NASA connection. He says, why don't this guy over here, the total douche of the movie, I forgot. Oh, he's like the ex-CIA. He's the head of the CIA. And he's like, why don't we get some ICBMs and blow it out of the sky? NASA, has been on my butt, they say. You see that right there? NASA. Very next scene, very next line. ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear missiles. NASA, nuclear missiles. NASA, nuclear missiles. What's the connection? All of those initial rockets that did the moon landing were ICBMs. Look it up, I promise you. He says, and risk turning one dangerous falling object into many. This was actually what was discussed during Project A119. They were worried about pieces of the sky, the dome, or the moon, or fallout, or nuclear debris, or whatever you want to call it, falling back down onto Earth. Why, if the moon is 200 and something thousand miles away, are you going to worry about that? Unless you're just suck at making missiles and you think it's just going to blow up in midair and explode a nuclear bomb all over everybody. But that's not how nuclear bombs work anyway. They need certain triggers, okay? They're not just going to blow up just because you bang on it or whatever, okay? That's not how they work. I didn't make nuclear bombs in the Marine Corps, but I was in aviation ordnance. I did make bombs, okay? Like, so I have a little tiny say-so when it comes to that. So you can trust my experience on making rockets and bombs and missiles and chaff and 50 cows and all kinds of other stuff, or you can just do your own research. Anyways, the aliens come in. This is what it looks like. Okay. Now, what they're going to show you is each individual little spaceship, which symbolically represents, each one of these represents the apex dome itself, and each country looking up and seeing the apex dome themselves. Okay. Because everyone's going to see it. It's way up. It's at the top of the firmament. Anyone that can see the North Star will be able to see the apex dome. Okay. So here's how it comes in. Light in the middle. Let's really look at this and examine this and break it down. It comes in with clouds. It comes on the clouds, as they would say biblically, with light and fire in the sky. Have you seen this before? In antiquity? In reality? This is how it comes in. It comes in clouds all over the place. This is atmospheric depressurization. When they do crack open the moon, they're going to cause a man-made effect of a worldwide low pressure system. It will be temporary and it will be nothing on the scale as the plasma apocalypse when the whole dome cracks open and breaks. But that's Project A119. They're trying to kick this off. They're trying to initiate the alien agenda. They're trying to initiate worldwide panic and stuff. Why is a question I would like you to ask yourself. What would be the reason? So these clouds come in. And we'll come back to the clouds in just a second. He says it's reducing itself every time it recycles. So he picked up on this code that's hidden in the satellite dishes that the aliens are using. It's basically a countdown. He says eventually it's going to disappear. It, whatever it is reducing itself every time it recycles or goes through the cycle again. It's reducing every time, which means it's getting smaller and smaller in its circuit, which means it's speeding up, which means time is speeding up because the luminaries are speeding up, and that's how we keep track of time. So we adjust our clocks, and then the sun goes faster, and it goes faster, and we adjust our clocks, and we update our clocks again and again, and pretty soon time is speeding up, and it's the shortening of days. And eventually, the sun, the abomination that causes the world to become desolate through fire in the heavens, fire in the sky, is going to disappear. The sun will disappear. From the Bible, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. How do you shake atmosphere? You don't. There's a physical object up there to be shaken, and it is the container above our world. The sun will disappear. In Norse mythology, we have Ragnarok and the wolf Skoll, or sometimes his father, the larger wolf Fenrir, who relentlessly chase the sun, called Sol. At the onset of Ragnarok, the doom of the gods, Skoll is destined to catch and devour the sun, plunging the world into darkness. In Norse mythology, the era we are in now ends in darkness. The sun disappears. In Aztec mythology, we are in the fifth sun, the fifth creation, the fifth world. A cosmic era destined to end in massive earthquakes. Prophecy warns that if the sun god is not nourished through blood sacrifice, which means population control, which is huge. A lot of people just look back. This, you know what? It sickens me. I'm sick at the modern's view on this, just as much as people are sick when they look back at like human sacrifice of the Aztecs or whoever, and they go, God, I can't believe they did that. How could they do that? What savages, etc. They're saving your ass. That's why they did that. Okay. And it wasn't the way that they make it out to be. Okay. They didn't, I mean, maybe it turned into stuff over time, and they're carving out people's hearts and holding it up into the air, and they're all screaming like monkeys or whatever. If you want to believe that, fine. Okay. And maybe it turned into that over time, but originally that's not the point of it. It was population control. Not trying to decimate the population that already exists once it's blown out of proportions, but to control the population, to control the amount of resources that are being spent, etc., and impact we have on the environment and stuff. Anyway, Aztecs believed that the sun would fail if we did not control our population, to move or simply disappear from the sky. The Kali Yuga within Hinduism says that this belief says that the sun and the moon will not be visible for 7 days and 7 nights, leaving the earth in total darkness for about a week. Another account describes the sun intensifying into 7 suns to burn the earth before it is reborn, which means it needs to die first, which means the sun will disappear. So before the sun disappears, it intensifies 7 times, which is another biblical prophecy, which I've shared with you guys before. I have a whole video series about the sun turning blue, the destroyer, the abomination of desolation, time speeding up, all these theories that I've just shared with you. Check them out on my playlist on my channel and enjoy. Back to the movie. Now, he says, Jamie says that this building has an old bomb shelter, and he goes, okay, everybody, head down to the basement. And they all go down to the basement. They need to hide from this symbolic sun that is above them, about to shoot lasers and lights down to burn and cook all of them. My brother just sent me a text message. What's he got to say?
You can, but I'm having a date night with Marguerite tonight.
Oh, it's like personal. I'll listen to it later. All right. So here we have again. They show you in the movie Central Park, right? Another elongated stretch of set aside, just raw nature in the middle of this huge populated area, the most populated area in the United States, I'd venture to say. And I believe that there's stuff underground. I believe that they have tunnels underneath. I know they do, but I think there's more to the story there. And you can see Jeff Goldblum's character way down here at the bottom. So they made a point to show Central Park in this particular region as the apex dome, as the firmament is revealed. That's not a UFO. Symbolically speaking, through my own eyes, and I'm just sharing my perception with you, when they show you gigantic, huge motherships like that, they're showing you the revealing of the firmament itself, not alien craft or whatever. Now, will aliens come? Yes. Do I think there are aliens? Absolutely, for sure. We're aliens, like from other places and stuff. Especially if you're white, especially if you're Caucasian, you're probably from some other world and came down here with the fallen ones or whatever, and from a time long ago. And I don't mean fallen as in evil or bad. I just mean fallen as in they came down from above. They tend to be very pasty, pale, white, gray looking or whatever, lacking a lot of color, lacking a lot of melanin and stuff. People from inside of the earth, they have a different light spectrum, and they're a different color. People up here on the surface, they have obviously the point of focus that we call the sun. So everyone's colors come from where adaptation to whatever light sources exist where they are originally from, going way back in time. That's my theory on that, at least. Now, they show you this alien craft. Remember the smoke. Remember the clouds and the fire in the middle of the clouds and stuff. Let's look back in antiquity to see if we can find more examples of the coming of great and powerful entities on the clouds throughout antiquity, as we see here as the aliens arrive on the clouds in the movies. Now, we have this woodcut. This is news from the Middle Ages. This is an actual news story that was printed, similar to like the Nuremberg event. This might even be Nuremberg. I can't remember exactly where this was, somewhere in Europe. But people looked up at the sky, and this is what they saw. They drew what they saw. They drew the people watching this spectacle. As if you can look down here at the ground, you can see that there were people pointing up at the sky, outside, gathering. Children. There's people, all these people out there looking at what? Looking at the sky opening up and these just clouds billowing out. And there's an object, a circular object, coming from within these clouds, and it seems to be emanating fire all around it, or some kind of a light all around it. You can see the little rays of light coming out from those billowing, puffy clouds. Now, let's look at some coins from antiquity. You can see the same thing as these billowing, puffy clouds gather over major metropolitan areas, areas that seem to be designed to protect themselves against cosmic lightning strikes, with all these spires and steeples and stuff like that, as I've already covered, right? But you have these huge billowing clouds all over the place with some kind of a light inside of them. Here you have the billowing clouds with what almost pretty much looks exactly like some kind of an alien spaceship, with these billowing clouds on either side. Look at that right there in the middle, this sort of dome or bowl shape or whatever it is, same over the same type of city. Here's another coin from antiquity, shows you the same thing. This one, if you're looking closely, you can see this is an eyeball, or it's symbolically is taking the traditional shape of an eyeball. Like my eyeball shape, that's that shape. That's the eye of God. This was seen in the sky. People added it to this coin because this was the year that this was seen in the sky. People commemorated it. They remembered it. Look at the cities with all these spires and towers and stuff, right? We have these cherubs, angels and stuff holding it up, letting you know it's floating. It's not falling. It is not lifting up. They're letting you know it's hovering right there above the city, just like an Independence Day. Here are those same billowing, puffy clouds with the angel that is taking one of its 7 trumpets and spitting fire out of those clouds, the fire coming out of those clouds, the inside of it being red with fire. Here's another example taken from the Book of Miracles, where people saw the sky opened up and circular objects existing inside of it with the big puffy clouds and the red fiery inside of those clouds. Here's another example of the circular big puffy clouds with strange alien creatures inside of those clouds and some kind of war happening, some kind of a fight. Big red fiery insides, as here's the one I already shared with you guys, the apex dome. Here's the puffy clouds and fire dropping down out of the sky. 3 star-like objects, just like I showed you in the other one. Fire coming down out of those clouds, setting the world on fire, setting these villages on fire. This reminds me of that song, we didn't start the fire when the world is blazing, or however it goes. You know what I'm saying? Maybe these fires that destroyed these ancient worlds were not man-made. If there were fires, and indeed that sort of reset our historic records. Here's the big puffy clouds again, up here, with some kind of, looks like German or something. And the fire's just reaching down from inside of these clouds. This is not lightning. People knew what lightning was. They didn't draw it like this. This is fire coming down from clouds up above. Here are the clouds on fire once again in 1542 during the Middle Ages, during the beginning, in my opinion, of the season of Satan, right around this time frame. Clouds on fire. Here's another example of the clouds on fire and the clouds being full of fire. And you can see some other stuff going on in there too, but the clouds are full of fire. All the people looking up, all the people wondering what's going on, their local town being in danger. Big pillowy clouds full of fire. And we go back to the movie. They fly their airplane into these oncoming clouds, and what do we find inside but fire inside of these clouds? It says that they're positioning themselves all over the world, and you can see in these places of power, these lights in the sky will gather, okay? But notice here, it says that the southern hemisphere is unaffected. Isn't that something? They didn't really point that out too much in the movie. The aliens are only interested in the northern hemisphere. Why would that be? Excuse me. Why would the aliens only want the northern hemisphere? You know what I mean? It's because this is not aliens. It is not creatures. It is not technology. It is natural events. It is the venting of the earth, and the largest of these vents get bigger and bigger as you get to the center of the world, because the world is actually more of a plane of existence. It's not a ball. So if you flatten it out, all the largest openings, they get bigger and bigger until you get to Mount Meru, which is the biggest opening on Earth. So you have all these gases escaping out of all these openings and ionizing in the atmosphere and turning into alien craft above these huge, places. Here's one of those alien crafts in the movie. You can see it's got this dome shape to it, right? And let's compare it to that coin I showed you earlier, right? Doesn't take too much of the imagination to see it, right? Here's another one. Now this is a actual painting. This is not AI. This is not modern whatsoever. This is old. Look at this painting. Let's zoom in on this. This is man, where was this? It says this shows a medieval wall painting. So medieval times, once again, located in the sacristy of the monastery church in Sighisoara, Romania. Sighisoara, Romania. Anyways, it's in Romania, okay? And this is on the church wall. And it looks like a house that something's, I don't know, some huge house that's on a hill. The house on Haunted Hill, maybe, to use a movie reference. Big, huge, pillowy clouds all the way around what appears to be a freaking spaceship. Or the apex dome. Depends on your perspective. I see the apex dome. You might see a spaceship. I see a portion of the sky revealed. And there's also something that seems to be kind of hanging out down here from the top too. You see that? Not AI, not new. This is old stuff. Here's another example of these big pillowy, billowing clouds in the sky. People come out and they make a big deal about it, and they're all staring at the sky. You think this won't happen during our times? Where there will come a time when some strange event is happening all around the world. Everyone's going to take their phones out. Phones probably won't even work. Everyone will be talking about it forever. And you'll see weird things in the sky, and people will see, they'll interpret based on their perception filter, based on how it filters through their own personal experiences and perceptions and stuff. Some people see angels. Some people will see a war in the heavens. Some people see ships or cities or something up in the sky in those clouds. Here's another picture from antiquity, a painting. We've got the sky literally opening up with these heads of cherubs and stuff, and light coming out of the center of these billowing clouds with these little cherub heads, or plasma balls, which is what they are. The reason you see cherub heads, little fat baby heads with wings on either side and no body, is because it's just a ball of light that's flying around in the sky, so they stuck wings on it. And this light goes all the way down to like Mary and Jesus and stuff. Speaking of Mary, here she is again. A lot of people tend to focus over here on what they think to be as a UFO in the sky. I just see the apex dome again, hanging down from the sky. But then there's more happening over here on the other side, where it looks like plasma is leaking out of the dome. You see that? It looks like literally plasma or fire is leaking out of the firmament itself right there. That's interesting. Here's what they call the Orbis Crucis, just floating in the sky. The middle of it is actually big puffy clouds. As you can see, big puffy clouds. And then underneath it, you have this sort of what could be interpreted as a UFO, or once again, the hanging apex dome portion of the firmament. But when this object appears, you have all these weird looking other crafts in the sky, or lights in the sky. As I said, it's a night of 1,000 points of light all over the place. And they get flat up there because it's an atmospheric effect. These are transient luminous events that are no longer transient in the time to come. Now, they're on their way to Washington. They need to warn the president. They found out this countdown. They found out the code. And he actually wants to just warn his girlfriend. That's all he cares about is his ex-wife. So he's the dad is driving the car, and he goes, "Oh, you don't think they know what you know? They know. Believe me, they know. She works for the president. They want cable TV. They'll call you." He says they know everything. And he goes, "They don't know this. Listen, this is the mindset of most people. You don't think they know what you know? You don't think that they have top men on it right now? They know all of it. It's the government. It's NASA. It's the president. He knows everything. He's the top guy. No, you're wrong. Just because it's NASA doesn't mean they know everything. Just because you're the president doesn't mean you know everything. There are secret organizations at play and at work that don't tell these people a damn thing. And I'm going to get more into that here in a little bit. But some of us, cable repairmen out there, regular people, some of us have information. Some of us know some stuff that they don't know, that they just haven't stumbled upon. They haven't figured out. They haven't done whatever research we've done. And we know some things. It says, oh, you're going to educate them, huh? Tell me something, you're so smart. He's just kind of lecturing them. He's like, all I'm saying is they got people who handle these things. They got people. Now this is your average person. They just put all their trust into their celebrities, into their government people and their leaders and stuff. And that's what makes them the best slaves, the very best ones. Now there's this classic news article where they're saying LAPD is asking Los Angelinos not to fire their guns at the alien spacecraft visitors. You might accidentally trigger an interstellar war. Which is funny because if you're from California, you just automatically understand this joke because they're like super gun happy in LA. Right? They're super trigger happy. Especially like Long Beach, Compton, places like that where I grew up. So they're saying don't shoot your guns at the spacecraft. And then he talks about triggering an interstellar war in Los Angeles. Now this is interesting because in 1942, there was what they call the Battle of Los Angeles, where the military thought they were at war with actual aliens and UFOs. This says mystery air object seen in the sky over Los Angeles. Searchlights and anti-aircraft guns combed the sky. They were shooting. This is right after Pearl Harbor. And they saw these lights in the sky and they thought they were aliens, or they thought that they were being attacked by somebody. So they just started shooting at this unknown craft. And there was nothing there. There was clearly lights. And these are all searchlights. This is a real actual photograph from the newspaper of the time. It says the first UFO sighting of the 20th century. Here's the newspaper article. Searchlights and anti-aircraft guns combed the sky during an alarm. According to tradition, according to the story, a red balloon was seen in the sky with a flare coming off of it, or a glow. So you have this red blob in the sky that's glowing, and people saw it, and they're like, what the hell? Oh my God, and they started shooting at it, right? It says here, according to one eyewitness account, at 3:06 in the morning, a balloon carrying a red flare was seen over Santa Monica, and 4 batteries of anti-aircraft artillery opened fire, whereupon the air over Los Angeles erupted like a volcano. And then from that point on, the story is kind of just, evolved or whatever. But you're not going to shoot at a balloon. You're not going to shoot at a hot air balloon. You're going to shoot at anything like that. This was a huge ball of plasma that had formed over Los Angeles. And here, people see these today all over the place, and they wonder at them, and they wonder what they are, the little blinky lights and hovering lights that come and go in the sky. This is actual footage from somebody's house. And they're oftentimes red. Then Will Smith's character gets a letter from NASA, and he's applying to be an astronaut. He really wants to be an astronaut. That's his thing. He really wants to go to the moon and be an astronaut. So we have another connection there with the moon and the apocalypse and NASA and the military all in on it. The moon exploding. They're going to blow up the moon. That's the plan. I'm telling you right now. There's going to be a problem with the moon. There's going to be a problem with these moon missions. There's going to be drama and stuff regarding everything around the moon. It's the story is already set up. All you got to do is push over the domino and they'll all start falling in line. He says they're using our own satellites against us. Hey, thanks for the popcorn. Somebody gave me some popcorn. Been a minute since I have some. Thank you. I don't know who that was. Who was that in the chat? Would I get somebody to join? I can't see my chat right now. I don't know where it is. Oh, it was Godpill Angel. Hey, check you out. Best research podcaster. You're a sweetheart. Thank you. Thanks for the popcorn too. All right, let's get back to the presentation. All right, so he says they're using our satellites against us. Remember, the movies are not just telling you a story so you can be mindless and amused. They're talking to you. He's not talking to the other character in the movie. He's talking to me. He's talking to you as I am talking to you. They are using our own satellites against us. Let's take a look at some of these satellites. SpaceX launches new batch of NRO's proliferated architecture satellites. Does that look like a satellite or does that look like a missile? I mean, let's just be super judgy. Call it how we see it real quick, okay? It looks like a missile. It looks like a weapon, which, by the way, like I said, that's how they started, ICBMs. Falcon 9 launch, Starlink, all these Starlink satellites they're putting into orbit for you can have internet? Are you serious? Like, I don't know anyone that thinks that that's internet, that you're going to, like, you know, the world's just going to beam down internet signal to you. That internet signal is coming from the ground. It's coming from underground cables and undersea cables and you know, other places, not coming from satellites. Even if it is coming from satellites, they're not going to waste all that time and effort and energy putting satellite after satellite after satellite so that the whole world can just peacefully enjoy doom scrolling Facebook. Get the hell out of here. They're not doing that. There's clearly other things going on, especially when these satellites are blowing up and falling back down to the ground, exploding. What kind of satellite explodes? It's not the rocket that's exploding. It's the satellite that's exploding. The SpaceX satellites and Starlink are bombs. Okay? I don't know how else to tell you that, except for to be very blunt. They're going to blow up the sky. They're going to blow up the firmament. Reminds me of the Death Star once again. The Apex Dome once again. And how they're trying to blow that up in the movie in Star Wars. They always have to like get into the cracks and find their way and get past the force field and all the same story. Our world has a force field up there. They need to get past that. Once they get past that, they got to drop off the bombs and they have to get out of there. And there's always going to be someone left over to die and a sacrificial person and someone trying to make it back. And it's the same story. You think they're going to stop? You think they need to shoot missiles at the sky to get things into orbit? This is a little slingshot. It just spins crap around and then flings freaking satellites up into space and they just float. You don't need rocket propellants. You don't need to shoot rockets or anything. This thing literally just spins them. It's called the space slingshot, I think. It just spins really fast. It just throws crap up in the sky and it floats. It gets so high up there it floats. Giant disc-shaped catapult will launch satellites into space 6 times faster than sound. That's how fast it spins these things. It also kind of looks like the letter 6 or like the beats, like the Dre Beats by Dre. Anyways, we see the firmament over some major city, and you can see if you just take a look at it, it has an apex dome. These little UFOs, they have a portion that just hangs right down, as I've shown you in Antiquity, all over the place, right there in the middle, and that's the portion of the sky that blows up. That's the portion of the sky that will open up, and when it opens up, like I said, the sun is going to get to that point where it focuses all of its sun rays, and it gets hot and hotter and hotter, and it's going to be blue light that comes down. So what do we see? We see the apex dome, symbolically, hovering over this city, all of this blue light, the blue star Kachina. Remember how I showed you like that X too? You see that X right there? So there's a circle. Everyone's outside, just like those drawings I showed you. Everyone's outside looking at the sky. They saw the big puffy clouds. They saw the circle in the sky with the big fat X on it. And there's a picture of the sun right there, you know. So they look up at this circular, this is, man, like when they take communion, that's also the shape of the wafers that they eat too, that they hold up to the sun. And they say Hocus Corpus Meum, and they let the sunlight get sucked into the cracker before they eat it or whatever. So here's a blue star. Here's a blue sun. They're showing you the blue star Kachina. They're showing you our sun. Take a look at, like, you know, the big blue, we call that color turquoise, all the way around. The sun's turning turquoise. I saw a NASA article where they said that the sun has turquoise in it already. So it's going to get more and more turquoise in color, which is why a lot of those Native American tribes use the color turquoise, I believe. But that's the blue sun right there. You're looking right up at it, and it's going to hover over the North Pole. And everyone's going to gather around the camp of the saints, and fire will come down from the heavens and obliterate all of them as they're oohing and awing over what this could possibly be. Here's an image I found from Antiquity. This shows you, I believe this is called an atlas of the heavens. Let's see what we got here. Well, we look down, we see that there is the classic guy pointing up at the sky, right? And got people all talking and stuff. What is he pointing up at? Here's the two sphinxes. These are the two witnesses, by the way. But if we look up into the sky, we see the billowy, puffy clouds all the way around, which is the mothership, and all the little tiny, alien ships connected to it. Now, let me back off so you can see what this actually is. So this is the whole picture. What even is that? The rest of the pictures in this book are just like constellations and stuff like that. But what is this? Strange, enigmatic, billowy circular clouds with like this, almost what we see from Independence Day right there in the middle, showing you the apex dome, showing you all the little reflections and all the little things coming off of the apex dome right there in the middle. This part right here, don't think two-dimensionally like it's flat. This is a three-dimensional object. These are tiers. They're hanging down from the sky. That bowl that hangs down from the sky is tiered. Okay, like the Russian dolls, a doll inside of a doll inside of a doll. This is all tiered. This is why Atlantis looks the way it does. This is reflective. This eye in the sky, this egg, this cosmic egg, this eye in the sky, is reflective if it's made out of ice, which I believe it is. That is the egg's shell. If it is made out of ice, pure ice, it's going to reflect, especially if you shine light up at it, which is geoplasmas erupting from the earth. That will light up. It will reflect our land back down to us. The land at the middle of the world, which is Hyperborea in the Garden of Eden, which is a solid circle of land, a valley, with a little bit of water in the middle and a mountain in the middle of that, but it's surrounded by the Arctic Ocean. If you have a mirror that is all shaped like that with all these little ridges on it, it's going to distort the image below. And what you'll see is you'll look up and you'll see a ring of water and a ring of land, and then a ring of water, and then a ring of land. And you'll draw a picture of your mind of what Atlantis is. And that's where Atlantis comes from. The Atlas Coelestis. That's like coelum and stuff. It basically means heaven, or the heavens, or the sky. It was published in 1729. Here it is again. They looked up and they saw the circular object with lightning coming off of it, electricity coming off of it. People say this is also Nibiru, the planet of the cross, or the crossing. It's a crossing over. It is a portal. It's an opening in the sky itself, in the heavens itself. And people cross over, going through that apex dome into other worlds. They go into the fractal verse, is what I call that. But it's reflecting the lands below, which is split by 4 rivers, which is why I think that the X shape is there. People saw the X shape too in antiquity. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicles mentions it. Here it is again, being cartoonified as a millstone that an angel is dropping. So there's this millstone. It looks, there's the city is on fire, just like in all the other pictures, right? The people are outside, away from the city, all gathering around, looking at this event, this spectacle that's happening up in the sky. And there's this huge circular object with another circle in the middle. That's called the doom shape in the Colburn Bible. It's a circle and then another circle. So some of you will be able to see it's 3-dimensional. Some people will get that. Some people won't, and they'll just see 2-dimensional circle and circle. They'll think it's a flat spaceship or something. Here's that reference from the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles in the year 806 AD. It says, this year the moon was eclipsed on the 1st of September. The king of the Northumbrians was banished from his dominion. Some other stuff happened. Some guy died. This year also, on the next day before the nones of June, a cross was seen in the moon on a Wednesday at dawn, and afterwards, during the same year, on the 3rd day before the calends of September, a wonderful circle was displayed about the sun. But focus on this part. A cross was seen in the moon. Modern academics interpret this as moon dogs, or some atmospheric effect that's outside of the moon and how it distorts light and stuff, and it kind of makes a cross. That's not what we're talking about. This cross was seen in the moon. The circle of the moon had a cross, an X on it, just like the pictures that I showed you. These ones right here. So what do we see in Independence Day? We see a glorified modern day version, very awesome looking, with special effects version of what we have seen already in antiquity. They are sharing with us the sun destroying things, the sun created by the apex dome. The moon is created by the apex dome. The stars are created by the apex dome. And then we have this sort of turquoise, greenish, blue color that implies the North Pole. It implies the aurora borealis. Everybody gathering outside, wondering what it is, just kind of watching and waiting. As you can see, this is the doom shape. This is what they saw in the Colburn Bible when they looked up at the sky. They looked up and they saw a circle, a big, huge one, not knowing that it's actually three-dimensional and coming down like that, like a bowl. And then an opening in the middle, the eye in the sky. And everyone will wonder at it. And everyone will bow down to it. Everyone will worship it. Everyone will think it is so beautiful until the day that it gets angry and destroys them. See the 8-pointed star? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You see the target symbol up there? Right? The 2 rings, the 2 Atlantis rings or whatever, right? Anyways, this is their weapon. And then all that power from these different points comes together in the middle and it creates a laser or plasma focus, okay? As above, so below. This happens in the Garden of Eden too. So I can flip this picture upside down, and this is the Garden of Eden, okay? So this would be many different plasma volcanoes, mountains, that shoot their own beams of energy that are attracted to Mount Meru. They meet together in the middle, cause a Z-pinch, or the plasma pinches together so tightly that it expels energy upward and downward. Positive energy upward, negative energy downward. It's a proton gun. It's a proton laser. When it's Earth. But it's not Earth. We're talking about the apex dome. So we need to flip it back around. All right. So this laser comes down. This is the blue star Kachina. This is the blue laser. This is the blue sun. And it will shoot the fire from above and destroy everything. Same thing they show you in the Death Star. Because it's the exact same thing. Okay, they just make the Death Star like this sphere or whatever, but it's not. It's actually a bowl shape. It's a half a dome, or like a bowl shape. Anyways, and you have a circle inside of a circle, boom, and then you have all these points of light meeting at the middle and causing a laser that destroys a world. It's a whole world eater, and it causes an inferno. It catches everything on fire. The blue star Kachina will catch the world on fire. The world will be set on fire. It will be that hot. It'll be like laser light. And you will have to hide. People will have to go into caves and underground and hide themselves from the heat from above. This is before the apocalypse. This is how the world ends. This is the crescendo. These are the fireworks. And the buildings are destroyed. And they become remnants. They become ruins and leftovers. And I've actually found images. I couldn't find the one I was looking for, but there's images from the Dark Ages and medieval times of the cities on fire and people like floating up into the sky and stuff. I can't find it. I forgot to save it. Same thing over the White House. Places of power. Places that have underground tunnels underneath them, cavernous systems full of gases, by the way, that are probably combustible. And sometimes you can see this as the light coming up as a blue beam, but remember, the devil is an imitator. What comes down from above is destructive. What comes up from the earth is beneficial and gives life. It's life-giving. So it's up to you to put the context together when you're watching movies like this to determine, am I looking at a symbolic representation of life-giving blue beam that comes up from the earth, geoplasmas? Or am I looking at the death ray that comes down from the sun? Which one is it? Right? Anyways, everything's blowing up. The world is catching on fire. It comes from the sun. It is not from the solar ray and the sun's super far away or whatever. The sun is very close to us. Okay? That's my cosmological view. I'm just sharing it with you. All right? And here we have the firmament once again being seen and revealed in New York. And once this happens, then the devil will go away. The sun will disappear. And that's why they show the Statue of Liberty dead, laying on the ground. because it's run out of energy. But you see also the Twin Towers back there too. You see that? There they are at the same spot. Now, this guy was an alien abductee, and he's been right all along. He represents all of you who are conspiracy theorists. Whenever all of your conspiracies, all of your wild, wacky ideas that you've been talking to people about are all of a sudden coming true, all of a sudden are mainstream news, all of a sudden are in the public eye and being revealed and declassified and stuff left and right. He goes, I've been saying it. Ain't I been saying it? I've been saying it for 10 damn years. My brother sent me this GIF when they talked about Trump was saying he's going to disclose the aliens or whatever. He was so excited. It's cracking me up. Now they go on the fighter pilots, right? And they're going to go shoot the rockets at the mothership. This guy comes up to the mothership, which represents the apex dome. And what's the first thing he says? Holy God. Looking right at an object that represents holy God. I'm not saying aliens are God or any such thing. I am saying in antiquity, when they saw this apex dome hanging down from the sky and, you know, plasma hands coming out of it and weird, strange lights all the way around it in the sky, and it causes these cataclysms and stuff, they saw that as holy God. As a matter of fact, they drew the name of God right here in the middle. This is YHUH essentially, or JHUH, however you want to spell it, okay? And here we have it again. Here's all those clouds. Here's all the lightning coming from the center of the cloud. And here's the name of God, or at least the Hebrew name of God, the tetragrammaton there at the top, Yahweh. That is not the sun. That is not the sun light, okay, that's coming down or whatever. See it like the little cherub heads with the little angelic wings on their shoulders? Here it is again with the name of God right there in the middle. Here it is again. That same one I showed you earlier. It looks like a little dome spaceship. It's got the Yod, YHUH, Yod He Vav He. There it is again, the eyeball in the sky with God's name on it, the tetragrammaton on it. There it is again in the heavens between the sun and the moon, so you know that's neither. At the top, at the apex of what appears to be a firmament in the sky, hanging down, emitting its own light, with the name of God right there on it. So it's appropriate that he would say, "Oh God." And you see a similar spacecraft in other types of movies. It doesn't matter if it's upside down like this one. Like the apex, it's supposed to be the apex dome, but it's upside down. And they'll play with perspective oftentimes. So it really should look like that, but they're drawing it like that. And there's a lot of optical effects in the sky that can change our perception and create sort of illusions in the sky and stuff too. This is the movie Arrival, where they have the same types of spaceships, but they just put them up on their sides, you know? Same exact types. And this one right here, you can see there's a huge dome inside of that, right? These are like craters on the moon, right? It depends on your perspective. You could see that this is a crater on the spaceship, but if I flip this upside down, you might actually see a dome. Oh, it's hard to see it, but it kind of looks like it could be now a dome coming up. We've talked about that many times too. Let's move on. All right, so they're shooting their missiles at the spaceship, but lo and behold, there's some sort of force field around the spaceship. They can't get their missiles through. Now, the spaceship represents the firmament. It represents the apex dome. This is your government, your military, NASA, etc., trying to blow it up. This is what they've been doing for decades and decades and decades, blowing up huge explosives in the sky. Because there is a force field up in the sky before you can actually get to the firmament itself. The firmament, you don't think the firmament's protected? Of course it's protected on both sides, outside and on the inside. It's protected by an extremely strong magnetic force, right? So the governments of the world, if they want to blow up the firmament, they have to figure out how to get past that protective element first. Oftentimes, these are called the Van Allen belts, areas of high radiation that they have to figure out how to get past or whatever. Here's the sphere version, the glob version of the Earth. And it has an inner radiation belt, and an outer radiation belt. That is the inner one that is under the dome. We have an outer one that is outside of the dome itself. We also have what is called, if this is the Earth down here, remember this is more of an academic version, so that's like 3D glob Earth or whatever. But imagine it's not. Imagine this is just the ground. The Earth is just down here. This is the ground. We have a strong magnetic force field all the way up underneath the dome. Then we have what they call the magnetopause, which is represented by the darker blue line, where there is no magnetism. It's just a neutral point. Then we have magnetism once again outside of the dome in what they call the magnetosheath or the bow shock. And this is protecting us from, in academics, solar wind, but in reality it's protecting us from cosmic plasmas that are outside of our world waiting to get in. So they have to figure out how to get past these magnetic forces, which is why they need to use in all of their space missions and moon missions, which are really firmament missions, they need to use metals. What's a metal? It's a fancy metal, buddy. Metals. Metals that are not conductive, that are not going to be, not my bad, not, I can't talk because I messed up. Metals. They use metals that are not magnetic, I should say. So, for example, aluminum, copper wires, titanium, silver, platinum, copper and brass, aluminum, gold and silver, zinc, bismuth, tungsten, etc. These are the elements we should expect to see their craft that are landing on the moon being made out of, non-magnetic materials. And what do we see of the pictures that they give us? Now, I'm going to tell you, this is a prop. Okay, I don't believe this is the firmament. I don't believe that's the moon or anything. I believe this was done in a Hollywood basement, just like Red Hot Chili Pepper says. But I do believe that it is practice for the real thing. That it's practice for them trying to land on the firmament. There's so much wrong with this picture. I'm distracted. I don't want to break down why it's all messed up. But look at this. This is why it looks like a homeless shelter on the moon. Like paper mache, something that's put together. It has to be non-magnetic materials. There's a strong magnetic charge up there. You got to figure out how to open that magnetic charge, pass magnetic materials or metallic materials through it safely, especially if you want bombs on it without them blowing up or getting messed up or whatever. And then you have to have this paper mache type, real simple stuff to get past there. That's why it looks like it's made out of aluminum and gold and paper and stuff. And cardboard. So that's one theory. That's my theory at the very least. Okay, they're trying to get to the dome. This right here is the dome. They're giving you another perspective. They're putting it sideways again, just like in Arrival. Okay, so you have to imagine this is not sideways. It's like that. Okay, this is really how the movie should play out. They're trying to get up to the dome. So let's play it from this angle. We have all these little F-18s or whatever. They're trying to shoot at the dome. They saw that there's a magnetic field. Their rocket hit the magnetic field. It blew up. And they're trying to pull up, which they're actually pulling away from the dome. So if we move forward, they're all moving, but one guy crashes into it because he's too close and he got attracted to it because their planes are made out of metal. So he crashes and burns. All right, next up, we see the sky opens up. Or the mothership opens up. We have all these little aliens coming out. They all have little force fields on them. So when they hit them, they look like balls of light. So this is like, and there's lots of examples. I actually forgot to pull up some images, but there's lots of examples throughout antiquity of orbs of light being seen all over the place. Now, they show you a portion of this mothership. And I'm thinking to myself, if this is the mothership and the mothership is the moon and the moon is actually the firmament and the firmament actually reflects the land below, which is the earth, and we look up and we see what is below, then when I look at this mothership, I should see a city. I should see land, earth, stuff that is reflecting our world back down to us. And I looked at this, I paused this, I'm like, damn, that doesn't look like a city with a big statue, like the Statue of Liberty or something, right? So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that they stuck frickin' New York onto that spaceship, and it actually looks more like it whenever you look at the nighttime view of a city with all these little highways and stuff and all the lights and stuff like that. It looks very much like what I just saw on top of that spaceship right there, which is telling me It is symbolic of the firmament, which is reflecting our world back down to us. Now, one of the kids gets sick. He's really nauseous and stuff. And they show you this all the time in movies, especially apocalyptic movies, cosmic horror movies, a lot of alien movies. People get sick. They report being really nauseous and stuff, or missing time and stuff when they get close to UFOs. Because whenever they're not metallic crafts and there are actually lights in the sky and there are focuses of electromagnetism, that electromagnetic field, EMF field, disrupts your natural electromagnetic field. It disrupts your brainwaves and stuff. It throws you off, and it can make people nauseous and sick. Reported symptoms of electromagnetic fluctuations in the human body, also called EHS, people report having nausea, fatigue, vertigo, headaches, skin sensations. Some people even freeze up, can't move. A lot of people report stuff like this whenever they spend too much time on a cell phone or near Wi-Fi routers or power lines and stuff. Imagine whenever you have a huge ball of lightning just hovering towards you and you think it's a UFO or something and you're scared on top of it. You know what I mean? A lot of people get sick. So they're talking about launching a counter-offensive, the CIA guy, and he recommends a full nuclear strike. Let's just launch all of our nuclear bombs at the aliens, or at the apex dome, which is what that is. And he goes, over American soil? Over American soil? I won't have it. I won't speak of it. American soil. Blowing up nuclear bombs over American soil? Who would do such a thing? Surely not the government. Surely not us. The United States conducted Operation Ranger 1951 atmospheric nuclear tests during Operation Ranger 1951 at the Nevada test site over American soil. In total, the United States has conducted 1,030 nuclear tests. Take it with a grain of salt if you believe in nukes or not. Whatever. Bombs, okay? 215 atmospheric and 815 underground. Where, by the way, that electromagnetic barrier over the Earth that's really far away and hard to get to is also right underneath our feet. They're practicing disrupting it closer. That's why they're blowing up that stuff underground. Major test sites including Nevada and the Pacific. 1,030 tests between 1945 and 1992. Some of them in Colorado. Some of them in Alaska. Some of them in Mississippi. Over American soil? What a puppet. You know, those are the presidents. Those are your presidents. They have no idea. They don't run the United States. There is a hidden hand at work. He says, sir, they've taken out NORAD. NORAD was taken out. Well, NORAD will be taken out. Even though it's basically a doomsday bunker. That's it. It's not to protect against nuclear attacks from Russia or none of that. It's a doomsday bunker. You're rich and wealthy and elite and powerful are going to all go there one day to hunker down and hope to survive the apocalypse. The reason it gets destroyed is, it says here, it's primarily made out of igneous rocks. Igneous rocks. 1,524 meters of magma under the surface of the Earth, causing igneous intrusions into older rocks, creating the entire mass to form into granite during solidification. What does that mean in plain English? It means there is a massive hole in the Earth right where Cheyenne Mountain is. That it is a potential volcano. It is a potential plasma volcano, which is good news if it doesn't fall apart and crumble down and, fall on top of you. If you can survive, that'll be a decent place because all those geoplasmas are going to come up out of places of power like Cheyenne Mountain. And then that'll be a lovely place for you to hunker down in. And he goes, what about the bodies? What about Area 51? You had the technology back then. You did nothing. Area 51, right? You knew then, and you did nothing, he says. The president comes up to him, as sincere as he possibly can be. The president of the United States is like, sir, regardless of what you may have read in the tabloids, there have never been any alien spacecraft. Take my word for it. I'm the president. I know it all. There's no Area 51. There's no recovered spaceship. And then the CIA leader says, "Excuse me, Mr. President, that's not entirely accurate." And like everyone's looking at him like, "What do you know? What's going on?" Right? So next thing we see is Area 51. So we're going to go out to Area 51. Will Smith's character just knocked out the alien. And then you have all these RVs, a huge caravan of people who are all leaving their city, trying to get away. This is known as the Greater Exodus, okay? Symbolically, they're going to go to a place of what they believe to be safety, which is the center of the world, at the North Pole. So this is the Greater Exodus. All the people are leaving, and they're going across what looks like salt flats, which means it used to be salt water, which means the oceans were removed, which will happen during atmospheric depressurization. The oceans will get sucked up, and people will be able to just walk across the ocean bottom, which is probably now baked because of the heated sun that made its way to the North Pole, right? So you'll be able to just walk across the Arctic, where what was once the Arctic Ocean, and you'll walk all the way across in a greater exodus all the way back as you return to Hyperborea. Plug for my newest book. All right, so he says, when I flew overhead, I saw a base not too far from here. And the guy checks the map and he goes, "It ain't on the map." He goes, "Trust me, it's there. This is Area 51. When this movie came out, Area 51 was classified. It did not exist. It was a place that did not exist. The government lied to all of you and said, there's no such place as Area 51. It doesn't exist. A few years later, in the 2013, the CIA officially acknowledged Area 51. Area 51 is real, a highly classified, allegedly, U.S. Air Force facility in southern Nevada. In 2013, they released that this was the first time the government officially acknowledged the site as a CIA facility. It was leaked. Somebody requested a Freedom of Information paperwork on it, and they got it. So it was leaked. Area 51's true. The government, all the way up until then, lied to you. All of you. All of your news stations lied to you. All of your mass media lied to you. Accused you of being a psychopath, wacko, off-your-rocker, nutcase, tinfoil-wearing hat, conspiracy theorist. I got words for them. I got a finger for them, okay? I got some pride welling up inside of me and for all of you who held true, and you knew that there was such a place as Area 51. Now they're saying, oh yeah, we declassified it. I guess, somebody told on us, but it's just for the B-2 bomber. That's all it was. This looks like a UFO. That's what you guys saw. It was just B-2 bombers. That's all. There's nothing to it. There's no underground aliens. There's nothing, none of that other stuff. Trust us this time. Trust us this time. We're totally telling the truth now. You got us before. We won't lie again. We'll be honest. We promise. So they go into Area 51. He says we're now 24 floors beneath the surface. Area 51 is not just start 24 floors down. Just like Dulce, New Mexico, every floor is an area of expertise. Every floor is an area that holds items of interest and areas of study. From mutants to cloning to monsters to aliens to gigantism to all kinds of stuff. Everything you think is fantastic and science fiction or fantasy. They are actively studying these things. This is shown to you in The Princess Bride. Remember when he takes him down into like his little torture hall or whatever? In the book, there's all these levels to it. If you ever read the Princess Bride book, Humperdinck or whatever, he has like all these different levels, and on the lowest level he hunts monsters underground. Anyways, so they go down into Area 51, they open it up, and we've got this scene right here reminds me of like Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory when they're he's tricking Mike TV into shrinking himself or whatever. This reminds me of all kinds of things. The White Room symbolism. He says, why the hell wasn't I told about this place? Now, pay attention to this because this is important. This is relatable to your world where you live in, okay? All you conspiracy theorists, all you people who have said time and time again, aliens are real, Bigfoot is real, the apocalypse is coming, whatever it may be, whatever your flavor of fringe theories and philosophies or whatever are, these people around the world will say It's just a conspiracy. The president says, why wasn't I told about this place? The CIA guy, confidently and cockily, says, 2 words, Mr. President, plausible deniability. That means it's believable when he denies it because he doesn't know about it. People will believe him. He was lied to. So then he just lies to all of you, and then all of you believe it. There's an article I pulled up. There's many like this around the world saying, how many people does it take to keep a conspiracy alive? How many people does it take to keep a conspiracy alive? That's what they sound like in my head. You know how many people that would take? You know how much manpower that would take? You know how impossible that is? You know how many people would have to keep that secret? This article goes into it, and there's lots of articles like this. It says, have you ever wondered, for the Apollo 11 conspiracy to be true, how many people would need to be a part of that secret? Just over 400,000 people, says Oxford University physicist so-and-so and so-and-so. 400,000 people. Why? For the moon landing conspiracy to stay quiet, it would require about 411,000 people, the number of NASA employees in 1965. The janitor would have to keep that secret. The lunch lady would have to keep that secret. The guy that wipes your windows would have to keep that secret. The tax collectors would have to keep that secret. The people that work the paperwork, the secretaries, the office people, they all have to keep the secret because they all know about it, right? We're going to tell all those guys. We're going to tell everybody who has a NASA patch what they're really doing there. The fudge out of here. The president didn't know. Plausible deniability. You know how many people it takes? The article says, how many people does it take to keep a conspiracy alive? It takes 1. It takes 1 person. You lie to 1 influential person. They go and influence everybody else. And then they all trust him, and they all believe it, and they have their perceptions skewed and twisted and altered, and they go lie to everybody else, and they all promote the lie. And next thing you know, 400,000 people are all lying, swearing, believing, trusting in the system, trusting in the president, trusting in whoever it is. And all it takes is 1. It takes 1 person to keep a conspiracy alive. It takes 1 person to trick the entire world. Don't be fooled by all these morons around the world. I get it. I get my feelings about this, man. Because people come with an attitude of disgust, of intellectual superiority, acting as if they're on some kind of IQ high horse. You know how many people that would take? Like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Don't listen to those talking heads and puppets. They're all slaves. Anyways, now we see the UFO. So they have the crashed UFO from Roswell from yesteryear, right? It's basically a little version of the big one. They all go down to it. Then we got the dude that plays Data in Star Trek, and the president asks him, "What can you tell us about the aliens?" And he says, "They're not unlike us. Actually, they breathe oxygen. They can't tolerate extremes to hot and to cold. That's probably why they're interested in our planet. In other words, they're humans." They are humanoid, okay? In the movie, they're not going to show you that they're humans. But I'm telling you, they're humans. All of what you think are aliens are humans, just like you. On other Earths that are out there in the fractalverse, they figure out how to escape their domes and stuff, and they come into our world or they come into other worlds, and they will have different kinds of suits and stuff on because they need to test out the environment and stuff. They're going to be seen as aliens, but they're human beings, okay? They might be bigger. They might have adapted differently. They might have slight differences, but in general, they are humans, and that's why they're compatible with us. That's why the fallen angels could have sex with human beings and produce human offspring. Otherwise, that wouldn't work. Now, here's one of them, but keep in mind, this is wearing a biomechanical suit. It's wearing protective gear. Okay, that's not what the alien actually looks like, which is why it doesn't have a mouth. He says, we're assuming they communicate with each other through some sort of other means. Telepathy, actually. The aliens from outer space use telepathy. That's because it's so much energy in the liminal spaces between Earths, between worlds out there. One, it keeps you from dying, because everyone knows you can't die in heaven. right? That's you live forever in heaven, right? When you leave heaven, it's a different story. But it also means that amplified electrical energy will amplify your synapses, amplify your cellular structure, and you'll be able to feel one another. You'll share each other's sensitivities. You'll be telepathic. He says, we're being exterminated. We're being exterminated. Yeah, that's right. You're being exterminated. You've been judged. You have been weighed and you have been measured and you have been found wanting. You have destroyed the world that was given to you. You have destroyed and polluted and mutated and turned perverse every good and pure and holy thing that was once yours to have. You are bugs. And you're being exterminated. And this is seen, this is a theme that's seen throughout antiquity, throughout religions, throughout, this is actually a picture from the show that we decoded called Three Body Problem. The aliens put this message across the whole world for everyone to see. You are bugs. This is what happens whenever, you have the choice. You have the choice to be a bug, to be an insect, to have an insectoid-like mentality as a being, as an allegedly independent being, or you can go and have a hive mind like the bugs. You can have a mind like the robots. Some of you are human. Some of you are bugs. Some of you are robots. Some of you are sleepwalkers. Some of you are not independent, but you think that you are independent. Some of you are bugs, or as Agent Smith would say, I'd like to share a revelation that I've had during my time here. It came to me when I tried to classify your species, and I realized you're not actually mammals. Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium with the surrounding environment, but you humans do not. You move to an area and you multiply and multiply until every natural resource is consumed. And the only way you can survive is to spread to another area. There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus. Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You're a plague, and we are the cure. There is some truth to that. There is some truth that is being shared with you. Some people don't want to accept it because you don't want it to apply to you personally. Well, guess what? Good news. It doesn't apply to some of you personally, but we're not talking about you all personally. We're talking about you all collectively. Bugs. Out of control. Your technology is out of control. In the book of Genesis, the gods, or God, looked down and saw your abilities, saw your technology so out of control that you could do anything that you put your mind to. The question is, where was your mind? Was it in a place beneficial for the rest of the world or the galaxy or, the mind of God or the fractalverse, multiverse, whatever you want to call it? Or is your mind destructive? Are you like a locust? Something to think about. Now, they try to get the biomechanical suit off of the alien, which, by the way, is that same white phantazoid, sort of grayish phantazoid color, okay? That is a bug. That is, to me, that's a bug. So let's flip the script for just a quick second, okay? There are some bugs out there in other places that are way big. There are bugs inside of our Earth that are way big. And when we see a gigantic bug the size of a human being or larger, we're not going to think bug. We're going to think alien creature or monster, okay? You will not call them insects any longer once they're that big. So there's multiple layers of symbolism happening here. This is also a phantazoid. That's what I call phantazoids. It says put the spreader right here along the ridge, and you can also see it kind of looks like, it kind of has like a predator type creature effect on it. It's got some other things going there too. So they open it up. They're not opening up its skin. They're opening up its exoskeleton. This is a protective layer. It's gross and it's full of yucky because it's biomechanical, but it opens up. Its face, I might point out, opens up. You see that trope all throughout the movies? Alien faces that open up in the middle, and there's some kind of parasite or something living inside of them. Yeah, watch out for the parasites too. Those parasites will quickly take control of you and make you think it's you making decisions, making you think it's you choosing to poison yourself and fill yourself and others full of toxicity. But it's an alien creature living inside of you. A parasite, a demon, however you want to look at it. So they open up this face, and it's all gross inside. There's the alien's eyeball watching them, and the alien is mind controlling this guy, and he makes him hear a sound. He's like got like a ringing in his ears that he just can't control, and he's freaking out, and it's coming from the alien who's crouching down like that for some reason inside of this biomechanical suit. So he's using his telepathy as he is inside of basically the alien version of power armor from Fallout, right? Humans are going to develop this. This power armor might look futuristic or whatever, but when you sufficiently develop your technology, you want to incorporate bio signatures or life or whatever to work with the human body, so you're not just inside of a metallic suit like this, which has limitations. So I'm just sharing, it's kind of besides the point. Anyways, so the president looks into this room, the surgical room. There's a glass barrier in front of him, and it's full of fog. It's all foggy and misty and stuff. And then boom, this part scared the crap out of me when I first saw this movie. The doctor is dead. The alien has grabbed him by the neck using his tentacle, and it's speaking through him. This is kind of like the pod people, okay? So when you have that little tentacle inside of you, that you got you're full of toxins and what do you call it? Nasty venom-looking creatures in your body because your body's all messed up. They can control you. They can speak through you, even though you're dead on the outside. You're just a living corpse with a little viruses and whatever inside of you. Anyways, there's a monster in the mist is what I'm trying to point out here, okay? They're waiting. This is your future, waiting just around the corner, hidden by a firmament that is right now closed off. When that firmament breaks, that highest, hardest glass ceiling, it will crack open. The mist will come in. Those big billowy clouds will roll in. Your atmosphere will become mist and fog, and there will be monsters in the mist. Mist monsters. There will be monsters in the fog. There will be zombies. The dead will come back to life. Everything. Mutations. Okay? It will be foggy, misty, horror-like world in the Southlands. Not every place. There will be exceptions. There will be places of safety and stuff. Check out my second book if you want to know more about that, or my videos. And he says, release me now. I could quote this whole movie. Anyways, here's the alien wearing his little power armor and stuff, looking like he's coming out of a power armor with tentacles. And the president is saying, I saw into the mind of the alien. They're like locusts. They're like locusts. So the world is being invaded by these locusts, which comes from the book of Revelation, where out of the bottomless pit, which is an opening in the physical earth, an opening that goes all the way down into the earth, these locusts, giant bugs, come up. Why do they come up? Not because they just want to. They're forced up. Why are they forced up? Because the inner earth is depressurizing. All the gases and stuff, wind, zephyrs shooting up from inside the earth, blowing all those giant insects up and out that live in cave systems and stuff. They'll be the first ones to come up. Other creatures will follow them. Locusts of Revelation. Now, let's make a distinction again between ourselves and the quote-unquote bugs, the aliens, the locusts. It says they're moving from planet to planet. After they've consumed every natural resource, they move on. Like bugs. Humanity is currently consuming resources 1.7 times faster than the Earth can regenerate them. This is called Earth Overshoot Day. The day is coming, and actually has already passed. when we have overshot the day, whenever we consume, whenever the earth can produce more resources than we consume. Now we consume more resources, according to these, articles and stuff, than the earth can actually produce. The day when humanity's demand for ecological resources in a given year exceeds what earth can regenerate in a given year. Just like locusts, just like bugs. Earth overshoot day came and is gone. It was last year, 2025, July 24th. The first date that Earth cannot regenerate ecological resources that are used each year. Congratulations. If that's not a sign of the times, if that's not an omen of the apocalypse, I can't help you. Nuke 'em, he says. He's judging himself. He's casting judgment onto his own people. Like, just if I could be meta for a second, okay? He's looking at you, like looking directly into the soul of the camera. Nuke 'em. Judgment time. Like, you can imagine if this was, like aliens or God or whatever looking down on humanity and saying, oh, okay, they passed the point of no return. Nuke them. Get out the raid. Get out the bug spray. Let's nuke the bastards. Anyway, so they drop this bomb out of a B-52, by the way. This is what a nuclear bomb or missile looks like. They shoot it at the mother or one of these little smaller ships or whatever, and then so they're gonna nuke it. Okay, so symbolically they're nuking the firmament, the apex dome, the Death Star. You can clearly see it's like the top of the Death Star, right? This portion right there. And then in this next episode, they're down in Area 51 trying to figure out how to get past the magnetic shielding that the force field that the actual smaller ones have. So he says he put a can of Coke up there. It's right there. And he says, shoot the can of Coke. Let's do a test. So he goes to shoot it. Bam! Force field comes right up. Bullet doesn't get through, right? Ping, 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 bounces everywhere. There's a plasma sheath all the way around it, or magnetic force field. He says, you see, the Coke can was protected by the craft shield. We can't penetrate their defenses. Tick, 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 it. Puts some information into the computer and says, try again. Shoots it. Nothing happens. Or, I'm sorry, he shoots the Coke can. And it hits the Coke can. Ping, ping, and it flies off, right? And then there's no shield. So they figured out how to take the shield down temporarily. Temporarily, for a matter of minutes, they can take down the shield. We're not talking about an alien spacecraft. We're talking about the firmament on the grand scheme of things, the bigger picture. They need to take down that electromagnetic shield momentarily. Excuse me. So they can blow up the firmament, aka the moon. He says, I gave it a virus, a computer virus. Are you telling me you can send a signal that will disable all of their shields, or the shield from above, the heavenly shield? How exactly do we infect the mothership with the virus? This douchebag asks. He plays the best part in this movie. I don't know if he's really like that in real life, but he probably is. He says we're going to we're going to have to fly to their mothership, basically, and we're going to have to leave our atmosphere, dock with it, land on the firmament. So this thing that says mothership, that's the firmament, basically, or the apex dome. And then we upload a virus and we set off some kind of an explosion. And then we get out of there. So what they need to do, what in the real world, in our world, right here, right now, NASA, the government, everybody, in order for them to blow up the moon, which is just a light in the sky, they need to crack open the dome. They need to crack open the firmament that's just projecting its own image into our sky, right? When the firmament cracks open, you will see a crack in the corresponding image in the sky, which is the moon. In order to get up there and to get the bombs up there, they have to get past to excuse me. They have to get past or through the electromagnetic field, the magnetism, strong magnetic force up there, the Van Allen belts. So they can do this using radio frequency technology. There's a few different ways. This is just what I've come up with. Our radio frequency technology creates localized ionization of the atmosphere. So if they're using that type of technology in order to disrupt the magnetic shield up there that prevents them from shooting nuclear bombs at the moon, we would expect to see man-made auroras, localized ionization of the atmosphere, man-made auroras. They would induce currents in the ionosphere. These currents generate secondary magnetic fields that can slightly disturb the magnetosphere locally. So you can slip something past, get something through. What else does it say? The effect would be small and temporary, it goes on to say, compared to natural activity. Like I said, this is man-made. It'll be short-lived, but it could work. Using nuclear explosions. So traditionally, nuclear explosions create naturally occurring, or man-made occurring, I guess, electromagnetic pulses. High-altitude nuclear detonations can produce electromagnetic pulses, which will disrupt the magnetic field, creating intense ionization of the upper atmosphere. It will inject charged particles into the Earth's magnetic field, temporarily distorting sections of the magnetosphere. So once again, you can create your own window, portal, gateway, opening in the invisible portion that is keeping you from landing on the moon, or landing on the firmament, so you can blow it up. Now, I haven't told you in this presentation why they want to blow it up, but trust me, they do want to blow it up. I can think of a few really good reasons. Next up, human technology can create local temporary disturbances. It's a disturbance in the force field, the force shield above us. Now, what types of things do we already have that can do stuff like this? HARP can do things like this. It's a high-frequency active auroral research program used to influence the powers, we'll call them, from above. The HARP program can create its own auroras. It shoots out radio frequencies up into the high up upper atmosphere. What are these for? What do you think they're for? They're weapons against the firmament, they're weapons in the Cold War. In the war against God, in the war against the heavenlies, in the war against the angels, they have HARP that they're using. Sound waves, frequency waves, radio waves. And they're aiming them up at the sky. Not because they're like listening for, some ancient song from billions of years ago, the song of creation or whatever. They're making gigantic, huge satellite dishes. And fields of satellites and things that can shoot frequencies up into the sky because they are attacking the sky, microwaving the sky, trying to crack open the ice that is above us, that is the firmament and the dome, or melt it or break it and get past the magnetic field, etc. Look at these things. Some people are happy. The government's happy letting you guys theorized, they're trying to listen for aliens really closely or whatever. Yeah, you can, that's fine. I'm not going to make fun of you or whatever. I'm not going to, you can think that if you want to, but my perspective is based on my cosmology. And my cosmology says there can be no aliens coming and going into our world if there is a dome that cannot be opened or closed easily, I'll say. High-altitude nuclear tests conducted by the U.S. and Russia in 1958 through 1962 involved detonating nuclear devices in the upper atmosphere to study electromagnetic pulses. Why? Who cares? It's a bomb. If it's just going to destroy the whole city and destroy everything anyways, who cares if their refrigerators work? Who cares if their TVs shut off? What does it matter? You know what I mean? If you have the bomb, it's because they're not using it for humans. It's not a weapon against one another. They're on the same team. Russia, United States, China, all of them. They're on the same team, same corporation, just different departments of the same store. Project A119, a study of lunar research flights, was a top secret 1958. I will retract that. Is a top secret 1958 document plan to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon. They declassified this because the information was leaked, just like they declassified Area 51. You think it's just no longer secret? Nothing suspicious? Nothing sneaky is going on down there? Stuff that you think that you just know everything? Oh yeah, it's just airplanes. They're just making super secret airplanes. Real cool, sleek, black-looking, UFO-looking airplanes. That's it. That's all there is to the story. Oh yeah, we were gonna blow up the moon. Oh, you heard about that? Okay, let's declassify it. You got us. We changed our mind anyways, by the way. Yeah, we totally changed our mind. We're not gonna do that. That's stupid. That's dumb. Oh God. Blow up the moon, right? You know what I mean? Now, all around the world, the British, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Germans, everybody, every government is now collectively working together in the movie to fight against the heavens, to fight against the aliens. The attack begins as the world comes together. The armies of the world will all come together. This is biblical prophecy. It says the armies of the world would surround the camp of the saints, and they would all be destroyed by fires from above. The movie is just embellishing it a little bit. Now, Will Smith jumps into the UFO with Jeff Goldblum, and he tries to make it go forward, but they go backward, and they kind of bump into the wall behind them. And this is actually crucial. It means something in real life, because he has to flip it upside down. Somebody had put the instructions on there upside down. Do you think someone really from Area 51 is going to put the instructions to an alien spacecraft upside down the wrong way? No, they're not going to. This is showing you your directions as the poles flip. North, south, east, west, they all reverse, okay? And this is basically a compass, and the compass directions flip, so you have to go the opposite way. If you want to go north, you now need to follow south on your compass, and vice versa. So they are headed up towards the mothership, which is up here, which is up towards the firmament. This is basically just the dome hanging up there in the firmament in the sky. They're heading up towards it, and he says, whoa, they're bringing us in. So now they don't have to fly. They're being pulled in by a force that's coming from the mothership, which is the firmament, which is the magnetic field that's pulling in their aircraft. It's attracting it's a tractor beam. It's an attractor beam, and they're attracted to it because it's magnetic. Anyways, that was a lot. Now they're flying their, I don't know what those are, F-18s? F-16s? Can't tell. No, I think those are F-18s. Flying their F-18s over at the Apex Dome. They're going to attack it. This is Ragnarok. Small scale little Ragnarok. And as they get close to it, you see what's happening up in the space. And they get close to the Apex Dome, and you see this triangular entrance. Why on Earth why in space, why would anybody, even aliens, use a triangle for their entrance? That wouldn't happen, okay? Unless you have a triangle-shaped craft, but even then, it's not really the best shape for a doorway. You know what I mean? It's symbolic. The reason that they're going through the triangle in this mothership, which is the Apex Dome, is because the triangle is a glyph from antiquity that means doorway. And it was just like this. It would have the flat top, it would go straight down and come up. Because in antiquity, it was a D. The triangle is the letter D, and that's where the letter D comes from. It used to be drawn just like that. But when you're carving it into rock and stuff, you just make a point. So it's like a triangle. It's like a line with a pyramid underneath it or whatever. Anyways, it's the Apex Dome. That's the glyph for the Apex Dome. That's the glyph for a Stargate, for an opening. It's a Delta. The Delta Force are the people who are at war with the heavens, the Cold War participants, etc. That's why it's a triangle. It's symbolic. There wouldn't be a real triangle in a spaceship like that. Now, when they get inside of it, it looks like this. Now, this is them going beyond the firmament, symbolically. So they're going to go outside of the firmament through that opening. And when they get into quote-unquote space, this is what space looks like. Space is not empty. Space looks like a giant spider web or a honeycomb or cavernous systems and stuff. Space is the fullness, not the emptiness that you think it is. There's all kinds of connections, things, worlds connecting and stuff. Because personally, I believe that space is the mind of God, and what you're looking at are neurons, pathways that are connecting worlds of experience where our memories, our information is harvested in a great data harvest called the plasma apocalypse. And all that information gets sucked up through these pathways, and it gets transferred to some other place where it's useful to God, basically, in short, to make good decisions. Anyways, he says, "Oh my God." As soon as he comes into this port, as soon as he sees this, that's what he says. Just like the other guy looked at the apex dome and said, "Oh my God." He's looking at the fractal verse, basically, says, "Oh my God." This is where God lives. He's in heaven. He's up in the heavens. In the movie, he's inside of a spaceship, whatever. But then they see this. This is the central portion to the mothership. And it's effectively and symbolically hanging down out of the sky. Makes also the letter M too, obviously, right? But it's hanging down out of the sky. And I've said to myself, I've seen this somewhere before. I have seen this shape. I have seen this image somewhere before. And when I went searching, I found it. It is Dante's Inferno. It is his concept of hell, or the underworld. This is exactly as it is portrayed. It has like ripples, just like I told you how like the apex dome has ripples when it comes down. It has these ripples or tears to it that comes down and then makes like a sort of bell shape. Remember they said the moon rang like a bell. And then it comes down to like that little dome shape at the bottom. I haven't studied this in detail, nor have I read Dante's Inferno or whatever the book is. But this is interesting. It all connects down here to like this sort of dome. But up here is supposed to be the land. This is supposed to be the earth up here at the very top. And this is supposed to be the underworld. Here's another version of it. So if you think about it, that we're looking up and we believe, we have been conditioned to think that that is space, it goes on forever. What if it's not? What if there is a firmament, which is the ground level to another world above us? And that apex dome that is hanging down that looks like this object right here from the movie is their hell. Like, is their underworld. And we go up through hell to get to heaven, to get to the next stage, the next world. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. That's what I'm thinking. Now, I saw another image just like that. Here's those frilly, puffy clouds or whatever. But look up here. Something hanging down out of the sky that looks very similar to that same shape. And somebody's hanging out up there. It's Jesus, actually. This is an opening in the earth. I've talked about this shape many times. This is the ascension, where Jesus is just hanging, his feet are hanging out of the sky. But look at this shape, right? You see that? Same thing. Very interesting. Also, if it is the apex dome, which I believe that it is, this is another depiction of the apex dome from medieval times. As you can see, this was a time when the sky was red, as they drew the sky being red. Obviously, they would have drawn it blue if it was blue. This is green grass, so everything is normal. This is the apex dome, which is what casts the stars into the sky, the planets, the sun, the moon, etc. And at the top, who's up there chilling? Who's up there living? Well, it's God, holding on to his Orbis Crucis, throwing the peace sign, looking like a wise old Chinese man. So, we have that here. So, inside of this, in the movie, there's an alien right in the middle, just like there's God right in the middle of this firmament. Then we have this alien that's staring at them inside of this Dante's Inferno layered, tiered, hell-looking apex dome deal. This is eerie, I would say. It's kind of eerie. Anyways, let's get back to the movie. So all these points come together. It creates plasma focus. The blue sun, the blue star Kachina, starts to set the world on fire. This guy sacrifices himself. This is iconic. Hello, boys. I'm back. This guy can't wait to get his revenge because he was abducted by aliens. Anyways, you can see him staring into the turquoise blue light of Huitzilopochtli, the Aztec sun god who will destroy the earth in the time to come, and the blue beam. This is the abomination that causes desolation. It is not the life-giving blue beam that goes upward. It is the destructive beam that comes downward. They both look very similar, but they're completely different. They mimic one another, you could say. They're mirror images of each other, but they're complete opposites. Now, the sky blows up. Once that beam goes away, which is the sun disappearing, finally, after it rests over the North Pole, and the firmament breaks open. the alien ship blows up. They have them in the mothership. They have the nuclear bomb, and all they have to do is detonate it. They've already set the timer. They have 30 seconds. They've already taken off. They're watching the timer count down, and then boom. Now this is the iconic symbolism. Now imagine this is the sky. This is the heavens. This is the firmament. This is a hole blowing up in the firmament. And NASA, whatever astronauts are up there, they're going to have to get the hell out of there. And they're only going to have a certain amount of time to do it. Some people might have to sacrifice themselves for like what they consider to be the greater good. And I believe that this is shown to us as a trope, as a pattern in the movies all the time. There's always like the person who's like heroically stays behind in order to like blow up the firmament. Now, the question is, why are they blowing up the firmament? Why would they want to cause this mini cataclysm? Why would they want to destroy the sky or the moon or whatever? Why would it mean so much to someone out there who stays on it, sacrificing their very lives because they believe in it? Why? Is it because they're so evil? Are they just satanic? Are they just so evil they just want everyone on earth to die and they're willing to die themselves? Or is it for what they consider to be a greater good? They think they're helping the world. They think they're helping their families who are down on the surface somehow, some way. I've shared my perspective many times and my theories and my ideas about what they could be actually doing. Trying to help instead of hinder. Trying to save lives instead of kill people. I'm not taking away from the fact that there is a secret group of people who are evil. But there's many secret groups of people. And I don't think all of them are evil. I think that they want you to think all of them are evil. Anyways, they take off. They are trying to get back. They're basically astronauts, and they're trying to outrun the blowing up of the moon, symbolically speaking. Pieces of the firmament are falling down everywhere. The sky is falling. The world is cheering. It is a happy day. This will become a holy day. This event will become a set-apart time where people know we need to commemorate this event. We need to acknowledge something might happen, some natural catastrophe, some natural apocalyptic event might happen around this same time. Let's gather together every year around this time. Let's be with our families during this time. Let's light candles and make sure that there's lights just in case all the lights turn out for about a half an hour around this time. Let's make a holiday of the 4th of July, of the summertime apocalypse. And that is our presentation for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to give some shout outs. I'm having software problems, so I can't run the new credits. I'll run the old credits just for fun. But I don't have the new credits because my software messed up. So it's going to take me about another day to fix that up. So instead, I'm just going to give actual verbal shout outs to everyone who has joined. You can join the credits and stuff. You can support me through YouTube or Patreon. If you support through Patreon, it actually I'm going to give those people acknowledgement first. But let me find it. Where do I have it here? Here we go. So I want to give a shout out to Jason Pretty. What's up, JP? High five. Joined the Good Vibe Tribe level 3 here on YouTube. And over on Patreon, I want to say also shout out to Jason Pretty, who joined the Hall of Flame tier. Nikki Ponting, Heather, Tia Kisa, Red Tape Machete, Kelly, Hugo, I Am, Dr. Hu Maniel, Aurora of Truth, Namer, Freight Train, Eddie Fox, Hannah, Atlas the Maverick. High fives to everybody. Michelle Dixon, Julie Miller, some lady. Venus, Amy Cogan, Stephanie McGuire, Gabriel Spark, Jen Cardno, Sharon Searley, Crystal Cat, Trish Clark, Nancy Ross, Sylvia, Sarah Hostcotter, We Ain't Having It, Par, Carpet Martin, Ryan, Angel Lovebud, Donna Coben, Annalisa, Beverly Pyron, high fives, Philip Sutherland, not Sutherland, Jen, Alicia Baines, Challenge Consensus, Jim Donovan, and it's Pinecone and Benjamin Anthony. I'm thankful to all of you. I'm honored by all of you that you find so much value in the things that I share and my research, my walk, my life, my perspective, that you guys support me financially. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And there's other people too. There are nameless people out there, people who have insisted I would like to be incognito. I would like to be, I don't want you to tell everybody my names or whatever. I forgot what the word is for that, but thank all of you too, okay? Thank you all so much. I don't mind throwing names out there and you know, giving you guys props for helping me out, but I also respect it whenever people are like, hey, I don't want any glory, I don't want any you don't got to give me anything, I just want to help you out. There's something to be said for that too. So thank you guys so very much. Check out my website if you're interested in these types of topics. Go to my Patreon if you want to support me, or there's links on my YouTube channel if you want to just send donations my way or whatever. And if you're interested in my books, go to my YouTube channel. If you don't want to pay a little extra to get the autographs and the merch and stuff, you can order it from Amazon, and you can, you know, leave a review on Amazon. You can get the vanilla copy for about $10 less on Amazon too. So enjoy, have a great night. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
I try so hard to fade away, but something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee, but there's something holding on, the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. I know I should have done this, should have quit this long ago. Can't stand another heartbreak, but it's time to let it go. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee, but there's something holding on, the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake
Using that information, I think that they hide.